Chapter 2355. This. When the demons saw the true body of the world tree, they were so shocked that they could not speak. It was as if they saw the origin of all living beings, the beginning of all worlds. It was indescribably great. They felt that they had lived for billions of years, but they were incomparably insignificant in front of this tree. It was as if this tree was an ancient species that had been born since the beginning of chaos. It was a great existence that could be mentioned in the same breath as the demon god. At this moment they were completely stunned by the world tree. Even with the threat of 100,000 void monsters nearby, they could not recover from their shock. Bind. Xiaoping formed a seal with both hands, activating the world tree. His mind and spirit became one, as if he had become one with the world tree. He could feel the world tree's desire for these void monsters. It was even more desire than before. It could not wait to kill these void monsters and obtain the fertilizer left on their bodies. Such a special substance had a great effect on the growth of the world tree. Therefore, at this moment, the world tree was going all out. The billions of roots on the world tree danced, covering a radius of 400 light years. Each root seemed to have its own will, containing the laws of the world and emitting the aura of primal chaos. Whoosh! In the next second, the roots of the world tree immediately wrapped around the 100,000 void monsters like pythons, binding them tightly. Roar! Feeling the killing intent, the 100,000 void monsters let out angry roars. They circulated the power of chaos in their bodies, trying to struggle free and tear apart the roots of the world tree. However, the roots of the world tree were too powerful. They contained the information of the laws of the world and the energy of primal chaos. They were indestructible. For a moment, these void monsters were tightly bound like rice dumplings. They could not move at all. Heavens, it's too powerful. It actually bound these void monsters in an instant. Maybe we can win and not die. A demon immediately shouted. Stop dreaming. What's the big deal about binding them up? Those are void monsters, undying monsters. Another demon sneered. Even a medieval demon would need to expend a lot of energy and effort to kill a void monster, let alone a near-ancient demon. Although Fengdu does have some ability to temporarily restrain these void monsters, it's only temporary. When these void monsters go berserk, all the cages will be broken. It felt that Fengdu's method could only temporarily restrain these void monsters. Could not kill these enemies at all. Sooner or later, these void monsters would break free. What does this have to do with us? Taking advantage of this time gap, we should hurry up and escape. Even if these void monsters managed to break free, we would have already run far away. One of the devils revealed a treacherous look. It felt that this was a great thing. Regardless of what method this devil Fengdu used, it had indeed stopped these void monsters. Hence, it felt that it could take this opportunity to escape quickly, far away from where these void monsters were, and continue to struggle at death's door in other hellish planes. You're right. There's no need for us to stay here. Let's run. Even if these void monsters break free later on, Fengdu will die. It has nothing to do with us. What else is there to say? Hurry up and leave. Many devils discussed among themselves. They were already planning to retreat and try to escape quickly. They felt that this devil Fengdu was really a good person. It was practically sacrificing itself for others. It clearly knew how terrifying these void monsters were, but it still went forward alone to stop them, and was willing to sacrifice itself. If this was not a good devil, then what was? Rumble at this moment, the void monsters that were restrained by the roots of the world tree seemed to be enraged. The angrier they were, the more frenzied they were, the more terrifying the power they could unleash. Balls of dark, chaotic, and terrifying energy surged out of these void monsters. It seemed to corrode everything. The roots of the world tree that were restraining them actually started to show slight cracks. Even with the power of the world tree, it seemed to be unable to completely restrain these void monsters. Once these void monsters broke free from the restraints of the world tree's roots, they would definitely take the opportunity to devour the world tree. You actually want to devour me? You want to die? Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. He didn't think that just the power of the world tree would be enough to kill these void monsters. In order to kill these void monsters, he probably needed his bloodline god Art, Hell Golden Crow Fire. Walala, in an instant, he circulated the Hellfire Golden Crow bloodline in his body. 36 billion Hellfire Golden Crow cells were trembling, as though 36 billion suns were burning fiercely. At this moment, extremely terrifying dark golden flames surged out of his body. They surged out from the 108,000 pores on his body and then gathered together, forming a dark golden sea of flames that covered a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Vaguely, the wisps of dark golden flames seemed to form small golden crows. The temperature within a radius of 400 light-years was rising rapidly. This part of the void was burning until it collapsed and black holes appeared. Burn, turn into ashes. A cold glint flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He clapped his hands and activated the Hellfire Golden Crow. In an instant, this dark golden sea of flames erupted, forming billions of wisps of flames. These flames also formed small Hellfire Golden Crows, as though they were the shadows of demons born from the depths of hell. They seemed to have their own consciousness as they charged towards the void monsters. Bang bang bang. In an instant, these small Hellfire Golden Crows tore the bodies of these void monsters apart. The terrifying Hellfire Golden Crow burned on their bodies. These flames even used the dark energy within the bodies of these void monsters as fuel, causing the flames to burn even more vigorously. 100,000 void monsters let out shrill screams at the same time, producing a terrifying soul shriek. It formed waves of strange and powerful soul waves, destroying living beings in all directions. Fortunately, these demons ran quickly when they saw that the situation was bad. Otherwise, it was unknown how many demons' souls would have been shattered. At this moment, these void monsters that did not know what fear was also felt unprecedented pain and fear. Such pain and fear penetrated deep into their souls and could not be forgotten. Rumble, in just a few breaths of time, the void monsters could not withstand the burning of the Golden Crow hell flames and were burned to ashes one by one, leaving behind puddles of dark matter. Chapter 2356. This. Many devils were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They thought that they were dead for sure this time. That devil Cattail had foolishly charged forward and was probably doomed as well. After all, their captain had also died in the hands of these void monsters. Moreover, they knew how terrifying these void monsters were. It was fine that they were powerful, but most importantly, they were unkillable. They could not be killed by ordinary means, so how could they resist them? But now that Baidu attacked, it seemed to be using a strange and mysterious dark golden flame. As it burned, the void monsters were burned to ashes one after another, unable to retaliate. What kind of flame is this? Even those unkillable void monsters can't resist it. It's too terrifying. It's indeed too terrifying. It seems like there's only a pile of residue left after being burned. Who would have thought that those void monsters could not withstand a single blow? It seems like these unkillable monsters still have a weakness. This Baidu is too mysterious. It actually has a way to kill these void monsters. If the overlords of the high-level hell planes find out, it will definitely cause a huge commotion. Many demons were amazed. Their eyes flickered, revealing a glimmer of light. They knew the predicament that high-level hell planes faced. They were surrounded by countless void monsters, layer upon layer. The reason why these high-level hell planes could not devote all their forces to exploring other hell planes was that most of their combat power was to guard against the invasion of these void monsters. If they could find a way to kill these void monsters, it would definitely cause innumerable demon overlords to go crazy. Rumble, in a few breaths' time, the Golden Crow hell's flames spread, covering a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. 100,000 void monsters were surrounded by this sea of flames and had nowhere to hide. Soon, these void monsters were burned to death, leaving behind only a pile of mysterious black matter. Whoosh, seeing this, the world tree in Xiaoping's sea of consciousness immediately became extremely excited. Without waiting for his orders, the roots of the world tree stretched out from the depths of the void. These roots were like the monster's tentacles, devouring the dark matter left behind by the void monsters and absorbing it all into its body. Xiaoping could immediately sense that the world tree, which had swallowed a large amount of dark matter, was now growing at a geometrical speed. Its body was growing taller, its roots were extending and its branches were growing. Dense emerald green leaves appeared on the countless branches. World runes also appeared on the emerald green leaves, forming pages of scriptures. Vaguely, rings of mysterious tree rings appeared on the world tree's main body, emitting emerald green light that seeped into every part of the void, communicating with countless dimensional spaces. At the same time, thanks to the growth of the world tree, Xiaoping's space domain was also expanding. It seemed to have become more solid, and the entire space domain became more indestructible. With his body as the center, a huge solidified space domain was formed, enveloping the void in all directions like an eggshell. The boundary of the domain condensed into a solid space barrier, which looked like the texture of an ancient tortoise shell. There were also many special and powerful talismans appearing on it. As expected, this dark matter is greatly beneficial to the growth of the world tree. Xiaoping was overjoyed. He could feel that after the world tree in his body devoured the mysterious dark matter, it immediately grew tremendously. It was at least twice as strong as before. Due to the growth of the world tree, the space domain on his body also became more powerful. Every law pattern in the depths of the domain became more mysterious, powerful, and unfathomable, just like a Tao brand. In the distance, many demons also sensed the increasingly powerful aura on Xiaoping. Damn, this monster has become even stronger. Just now he was able to beat Captain Elder Weiss into running for his life. Now he has become even stronger. Who among us is a match for him? Run, hurry up and run. We can't stay here or we'll definitely die. Without Captain Elder Weiss we're no match for him. That's right, as long as we can leak the news that this demon puppet has the means to kill void monsters, we'll definitely make a fortune. Maybe the Overlord will grant us wealth that we'll never be able to enjoy in our lifetime. We might even become nobles because of this. That's right, let's hurry up and run. The eyes of the many demons flickered. They didn't waste any more words and immediately fled in all directions. In fact, their speed was even faster than when they were being chased by the void monsters. Trying to run? All of you come back here. With a thought, Xiaoping immediately sensed the movements of the demons. If it was before, if he were to run from so many demons, not to mention that they were splitting up, he might really have let a few of them escape. But now, the world tree on his body had grown sufficiently, causing his power and innate ability to rise exponentially. He could not be mentioned in the same breath as before. Space domain. With a loud boom, with Xiaoping as the center, a space domain that covered a radius of 400 light-years came crashing down. It was as if an entire world was crushing down on them, causing the void to distort. Dong. With just a single strike, the entire void space was distorted. All void powers were suppressed, and the flowing hell energy was also completely locked down, becoming motionless. One after another, the demons were locked down. It was as if a seal had been placed on their bodies. All the space around them seemed to have solidified, causing them to be unable to move. They could only think. Impossible. How can a space domain be this powerful? I'm a near-ancient demon, a peak near-ancient demon at that. I'm only a step away from the middle ancient realm. Yet, with just a single thought, I'm suppressed to the point where I can't move. What kind of joke is this? I can't move. I can't move at all. It's as if I'm being suppressed by a five-fingered mountain. All my strength is futile. I can't even break through the space of this void. The gap is too big. The gap is too big. Is this really a near-ancient demon like us? No one would dare to say no even if we said that this guy is a middle-ancient demon. The demons were all terrified. They could feel the huge gap between them and Xiaoping. If he wanted to, he could crush most of them with a single thought. Do you choose to submit or do you choose to die? Xiaoping looked down at these demons from above. Just like that he looked. Chapter 2357. In the face of Xiaoping's intimidation and coercion, the demons didn't hesitate at all. After witnessing Xiaoping's terrifying strength, the demons who bullied the weak and feared the strong didn't have any sense of propriety. They all expressed their willingness to submit and not resist. The result went smoothly. The demons all surrendered. Naturally, Xiaoping also forcibly engraved the Nether God curse on them. This way, even if they wanted to betray him again, they would have to pay the price with their lives. Therefore, these demons from the higher planes of hell were completely tamed. Originally, some of them had planned to pretend to submit and run back to their original planes while Xiaoping wasn't paying attention. But now he had completely severed their thoughts and they no longer dared to be disloyal. At this moment, the power of the demons in the burning hell swelled once more. More than 20 ancient demons and more than 300 immortal demons appeared. This kind of power was enough to sweep through all the lower planes of hell. Master. One demon after another stepped forward and respectfully greeted Xiaoping, expressing their loyalty. Very good. Tell me about your origins, where you came from, and what you plan to do. Xiaoping didn't kill these demons because they were of great value. From the looks of it, they seemed to be from the higher planes of hell. Therefore, they definitely knew more about hell than all the demons in the burning hell. You wanted to learn more about the world of hell from these demons? Yes. The demons immediately told him everything they knew. I see. So this is how the planes of hell are divided. Several hours later, Xiaoping nodded. Through the demons' detailed explanations, he had a basic understanding of the vast world of hell. First was the division of the planes of hell. According to the source, area, and the demons they nurtured, they were divided into several levels. The weakest planes were the lower planes. There were too many of these planes, like the eternal sands. They could be found in every corner of hell. No demon could say for sure how many there were. The most powerful beings in these hellish planes were the ancient demons. A medium hell plane was even more powerful than a low hell plane. It was at least 10,000 times more powerful than a low hell plane, and its surface area was also boundlessly vast. Such a plane of hell could give birth to ancient and medieval demons. Higher hell planes were naturally more powerful than medium hell planes. They were millions of times larger than medium hell planes, and their territory was boundless. Such a hell plane could breed ancient demons and even demons of the invincible realm. And they came from a higher plane called the poison goo hell. It was unimaginably large. Even the billions of burning hells combined couldn't compare. Therefore, it was not unreasonable for these demons to say that the demons of the burning hell were countryside demons. It was like comparing an unknown island country to the United States. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. They didn't want to occupy such a rural place. They just wanted to plunder the resources of this low-level hell plane and exchange them for wealth so that they could return to the hell of poison and live a life of debauchery. You want to plunder? Xia Ping looked at this group of demons with a strange expression. This kind of behavior reminded him of the colonial era on Earth. Those pirates who set out from Europe also sailed everywhere, discovered new lands and plundered primitive tribes. Now these demons were doing the same thing. I'm sorry, Master. We didn't think it through and did such a heinous thing. I hope Master can forgive us. We deserve to die. The demons were ashamed. If they knew Xia Ping was so powerful, they wouldn't have dared to provoke him. In the end, not only did they not manage to plunder the treasures, they had all become prisoners and even the captain had died. This was simply a heavy loss and they had suffered a double loss. It's okay. I don't blame you. The weak are prey to the strong. This is hell. Xia Ping waved his hand and didn't care. The behavior of this group of demons is normal in hell. Even if there is no pirate demon like Elvis, there will be other demons. It was said that this kind of adventurous behavior had been legalized and popular in the higher planes of hell. Countless demons from the higher planes of hell wanted to come out and adventure, trying to get rich overnight. After all, as long as they found a new lower plane of hell, they could get rich quickly. Which demon wouldn't be tempted? Thank you for your magnanimity, Master. The group of demons were grateful and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. After all, if their master held a grudge, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to sit still in the future. They didn't know when their master would find an excuse to kill them. Lower plane of hell, middle plane of hell, high plane of hell. So which plane of hell did the demon who plotted against me come from? Is it a middle plane of hell? Such a plane of hell can indeed give birth to ancient demons. But if the other party is from the higher plane of hell, then it'll be a little troublesome. Xia Ping rubbed his chin. Previously, he had plotted against that ancient demon to vent his anger. Presumably, the ancient demon who was plotted against by him wouldn't let it go so easily. So he felt that he might need to make some preparations in advance to resist the revenge of the ancient demon. Thinking of this, he continued to ask, then what about the higher planes of hell? Are there more powerful planes of hell? I'm not sure. An ancient demon shook his head. I haven't seen a plane of hell stronger than the higher plane of hell, but there are indeed similar legends circulating throughout the entire plane of hell. It's said that the plane of hell is stronger than the higher plane of hell. Such planes of hell give birth to terrifying demon gods, who are great rulers who can sweep away all demons. But such a plane of hell seems to be impossible for ordinary demons to reach. It seems to be in another dimension, unapproachable, untouchable, and unreachable. Demon plane of hell? Hearing this, Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. Perhaps such a plane of hell really existed. After all, the existence of the bloodline of the Golden Crow was the best proof. If such a tyrannical demon god didn't exist, how could such a bloodline be passed down? But thinking about such things now was really too far away. It wasn't something he could think about now. It would be better to think about it when he advanced to a higher realm. Chapter 2359. Xia Ping continued to ask these demons about the poisonous goo hell. He found that this high-level hell was extremely far from the burning hell. Even if these demons wanted to go back, it would take them a long time. However, for these demons with endless lifespans, this amount of time was nothing. After all, hundreds or even thousands of years of travel time were already common in the infernal world. Poisonous goo hell? It seems that if I have time, I can find a chance to go to this high-level hell. Maybe I can get more useful information and hell treasures. Xia Ping touched his chin, thinking about his next move. However, he was just thinking about it. For the time being, he did not want to go to the high-level hell. It was better to strengthen his base camp, the burning hell. If the burning hell was destroyed, then the spatial passage to the infernal world would be gone. Even if he wanted to find a place to enter the infernal world in the future, it would be extremely difficult. Therefore, the defense of the burning hell was the top priority. He could not afford to lose it. A few days later, this group of demons from the poisonous goo hell had completely integrated into the burning hell. Because of the Nether God's curse, they did not dare to cause trouble in the burning hell. All of them were obedient and loyal. Xia Ping threw these demons to Luna to manage and then returned to the original universe. I'm finally back. Once again returning to the Thunder City in the Thunder Sea region of the Mystic Zone, Xia Ping felt a familiar aura and immediately felt happy. After all, no matter what, the infernal world was not very suitable for humans to live in. The smell of sulfur was everywhere. However, this trip to the infernal world gave him a lot of benefits. First of all, his infernal golden crow bloodline had further evolved, and he passed the thunder tribulation. Then he successfully broke through to the near-ancient realm and comprehended the law of space. This made his combat power increase geometrically, and he improved by leaps and bounds. After that, he also merged with the origin of the scorched hell, causing the burning hell to further evolve. The demon forces under his command had also greatly expanded. If he brought these demons back to the universe, he would probably be the overlord of a force, enough to sweep away many ordinary Saint-class sections. Corinne, did anything major happen in the Thunder Sea region recently? Xiaoping asked. Indeed, something big has happened. Corinne said in a deep voice. Recently, the movements on the side of the demon race are very unusual. It is very calm. It seems that they are constantly gathering troops to let a large number of demon saints, as well as their vassal races, return. Undercurrents are surging, it seems that they are preparing for war. It seemed to feel the dark clouds of war looming over it as if war was coming. Prepare for war? Upon hearing this, Xiaoping squinted his eyes. The Thunder Sea region is occupied by the various peak-level races, forming a terrifying balance between them. It has been peaceful for billions of years. To be honest, such a balance was very difficult to break. Why did the demons have such confidence? No, it should be that they had the strength to start a war. Could it be that they already have the absolute confidence to defeat our human race and become the overlord of the Thunder Sea region? This is indeed very strange. Many top leaders of the human clan are also confused about this. They don't know if the demon clan is deliberately trying to mislead them or if it is true. Corinne nodded. But it is better to be safe than sorry. Those demon saints are not fools. If they did not have absolute confidence, how could they dare to start a war? Therefore, the top leaders of the human clan have issued an urgent intelligence mission to the great saints. They need a saint to investigate what happened in the demon race. What did they do that gave them the confidence to change the status quo and start a war? If anyone can complete this mission, they will be rewarded with 100 million points. Therefore, the saints of the entire Thunder City are boiling with excitement. Each and every one of them is rubbing their palms. 100 million points. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Just investigating the intelligence would actually reward 100 million points. This was an astronomical reward. It was no wonder that countless saints were tempted. After all, if an ordinary immortal saint wanted to obtain 100 million points, they would have to spend a lot of effort and experience a lot of dangers. Such a reward was enough to make many saints take risks out of desperation. But this mission is not so easy to complete, right? Xiaoping asked. Of course it is not so easy. If it was so easy, the top leaders of the human clan would not have given such an astonishing amount of 100 million points, causing countless saints to become restless. Corinne said in a deep voice. First of all, this intelligence seems to be top secret information of the demon race's top leaders. Even among the top leaders of the demon race, only a few demon saints know about it. Therefore, even if our human clan has spies in the demon race, we are unable to obtain any important information. Secondly, the demon race also has a city in the Thunder Continent as their base. It is called Hymus City. This city is heavily guarded, not the least bit inferior to our human clan's Thunder City. Therefore, it is almost impossible for our human clan's saints to sneak into this city. This has led to the lack of information about the demon race. He expressed that it was extremely difficult to obtain this information. So far, many saints had accepted the mission, but none of them could complete it. So to say, it is impossible for the human clan to sneak into the demon race's Hymus City? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Of course. Corinne said as a matter of course, Although the technology of the demon race is not as powerful as that of the human clan, there is no way for every human to have a smart chip that stores the genetic information of every living being. However, they also have a unique detection method. It seems that they can check the bloodline of every demon. If they do not match the bloodline of the demon race, they will be regarded as an enemy and killed on the spot. Humans are simply unable to sneak in. Demon race bloodline? In that case, it is not impossible to sneak into the demon race's city. The power of the non-phase mask can transform into all things in the world. Perhaps it can deceive the detection method of the demon race. Xiaoping touched his chin. It is indeed possible to deceive them, but what do you want to do? Don't tell me you want to sneak into Haima's city? Hearing this, Corinne was immediately taken aback. I indeed have a similar idea. Xiaoping said. No, this kind of thing is absolutely impossible. Corinne immediately said, as the saying goes, a gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. Haima City is the headquarters of the demon race. There are countless restrictive arrays and demon saints are as common as clouds. If something unexpected happens, it will be difficult to escape even if you have wings. There is no need for you to take the risk to sneak into Haima City now. Even if you have great certainty, you should not do it. Corinne's expression was very serious. He wanted to stop Xiaoping's reckless behavior. Chapter 2360. That's right, Master, sneaking into Heimu City is something you absolutely cannot do. Hearing this, the green ox stood on the same side as Corinne. According to Master's current potential, if you continue to cultivate, sooner or later you will stand at the peak of the universe. A mere 100 million points was nothing to his current Master. It was nothing at all. There was no need for him to take such a huge risk to infiltrate Heimu City. Although the risk of an accident is very small, who knows what will happen. It is better to be safe than sorry. Master's status is precious, there is no need to do such a stupid thing. It was also firmly opposed to Xiaoping's reckless behavior. Don't worry, I don't want to court death. I also know the danger of this matter. If I don't have absolute certainty, I won't do such a thing. Xiaoping also understood the concerns of the green ox and Corinne. In fact, he was not so stupid, nor would he start to become arrogant after becoming powerful and look down on the demon race. After all, Heimu City was the lair of the demon race in the Thunder Continent. There were countless experts there, and even the ancient demon sage was suppressing it. Who knew what would happen? Once his whereabouts were discovered by the ancient demon sage, and he was still in Heimu City, it would be impossible for him to escape. There was basically no possibility of him escaping. In that case, Master, do you have any special means? The green ox asked curiously. If I didn't have absolute certainty, I wouldn't have agreed to do such a thing. Corinne also looked at Xiaoping very seriously, wanting to know Xiaoping's thoughts and means. Doppelganger technique. Xiaoping smiled slightly. In fact, he had long wanted to condense a doppelganger magical power. Because he had too many things to do, he was simply unable to split himself. If he could condense a few doppelgangers, he could appear in different places at the same time. In fact, this would also be of great benefit to hiding his fake identities such as Wu Wudi, Fengdu, and so on. It would not be easily discovered by others or other forces. Doppelganger technique? This is indeed a good method. The problem is that the current doppelganger magical power is too weak. At most, it has 1/10,000th of the strength of the main body. It will be difficult to hide from the detection of the demon race. Corinne said in a deep voice. In the universe, there were many experts who had practiced doppelganger magical power and could condense thousands of doppelgangers at once. The problem was that such doppelgangers were simply vulnerable. It was impossible to hide from Heimu City's defense system. If it was that simple, Heimu City would have become a civ a long time ago. It is true that ordinary cloning techniques will not work. However, the one that I have cultivated is different. Xiaoping said confidently. He had also checked through all kinds of secret techniques from the human race's All Saints Palace. Unfortunately, none of the cloning techniques were particularly powerful. All of them were of little value. The clones condensed were too weak and could not be compared to the real body. Moreover, it was very easy for the enemy to discover the flaws. However, he had the existence of the system, which listed many powerful divine abilities related to cloning. Among them was a cloning secret technique, Great Origin Cloning Technique. This doppelganger secret technique was extremely powerful. It allowed one to create a powerful doppelganger by splitting one's body's origin. Moreover, the doppelganger's strength would be 90% of the original strength. He could condense 9 similar clones. In fact, the 9 clones could even cultivate at the same time, which was equivalent to increasing the cultivation speed by 9 times. There was also an extremely strong mental connection between the doppelganger and the original body. No matter how far away they were, a mental connection could be formed. There was no power that could obstruct them. Moreover, if such a doppelganger died, as long as the original body did not die, he could spend a certain amount of origin power to restore the doppelganger to its peak state. Therefore, as long as he successfully cultivated this secret technique, Xia Ping would be able to condense a doppelganger and send it to the demon race's city on the Thunder Continent, Heimu City. Even if his doppelganger was discovered by the demon sages, then the doppelganger could immediately die without harming the original body. This was an extremely powerful auxiliary secret technique. Thinking of this, Xia Ping did not hesitate. System: exchange for this great origin cloning technique. Yes, host. Because this great origin cloning technique is a forbidden technique, it is restricted by the laws of the universe. Therefore it is unique. If the host successfully cultivates it, then no one else in this universe can successfully cultivate it. The system said, because it is a forbidden technique, the price is also quite expensive. If you want to successfully exchange for it, you will need to spend 50 hatred crystals this time. I hope the host can consider it carefully. 50 hatred crystals? Hearing this, Xia Ping was amazed. This was the most expensive cultivation secret technique he had ever exchanged for. However, this great origin cloning technique was indeed worth the price. Go ahead, there's no problem. He did not hesitate. Anyway, he had thousands of hatred crystals on him. A mere 50 hatred crystals was nothing at all. Yes, host. Hearing this, the system replied. Rumble. In an instant, a warm current immediately poured into the depths of Xia Ping's sea of consciousness, enlightening him. Immediately, a large number of pictures, information on magic talismans poured into his sea of consciousness. So that's how it is. This is the great origin cloning technique. It's really amazing. Xia Ping comprehended this forbidden secret technique in an instant and understood how to cultivate it. Without the help of the system, it would probably take at least 1,000 years to comprehend it. But now he had learned it in an instant. Whoosh, he operated the great origin cloning technique, and the origin power and soul power in his body immediately divided into 9. For Xia Ping, this was simply a piece of cake. Because he had cultivated the Panwu Sutra before, he already had 9 purple mansion spaces. Therefore, the cultivation of the great origin cloning technique was a bit natural and did not take much effort. It seemed that this great origin cloning technique and the Panwu Sutra were of the same origin. After learning the Panwu Sutra, it was quite easy to cultivate the great origin cloning technique. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, the origin energy on Xia Ping's body immediately split into 9, condensing into magic talisman seeds. They slowly rotated in the air like cyclones, exuding a powerful and mysterious aura. Thousands of slight cracks appeared in the void, and the 9 magic seeds immediately absorbed a huge amount of mysterious energy from the depths of these cracks in the void. Then they instantly turned into real bodies, as if the flesh and blood had completely constructed Xia Ping's body. It's done. Xia Ping's eyes lit up, and he suddenly found that there were 9 clones around him, each emitting a powerful aura and distorting space. They were almost the same as his original body, and their eyes were extremely sharp. If it weren't for him, no one would have been able to discover the difference between his original body and his clones. Chapter 2361. How mystical. Xia Ping sensed that he had split into 9 clones. Including his main body, he had a total of 10 bodies. Moreover, each clone contained his own origin energy and soul energy. As long as he split off a strand of his divine sense, he would be able to easily control the clone as if it were his main body. Even the most powerful eye technique would not be able to detect the difference between the clone and his main body. After all, each clone contained his soul energy and origin law. However, it seems like the clones are not completely complete. Xia Ping sensed that the 9 clones he had formed were just outer shells. They did not possess the formidable combat prowess of the main body. Host, the 9 origin clones that you formed are indeed incomplete. The system sensed Xia Ping's thoughts and replied, the origin clones are equivalent to providing the host with a starting point. The host will still need to expend a large amount of resources to accumulate the cultivation of the clones. However, as the host has already reached the level of a near-ancient sage and comprehended the law of space, the clones do not need to comprehend it again. As long as they have enough resources, they will be able to easily raise their cultivation to the same level as the host. I see. Xia Ping nodded. He had finally understood some of the profoundness of the Great Origin clone technique. Although it was wonderful to have 9 clones with 90% of the main body's combat prowess, the amount of resources required was also rather astonishing. If he wanted to raise the cultivation of all 9 clones at the same time, he would need to expend 10 times the usual amount of resources. This was a technique that only the rich could cultivate. Without money, one could forget about cultivating it. If the clones were destroyed while they could recover, they would have to cultivate from the beginning again. The amount of resources required was also no small matter. It was more than enough to bankrupt an ordinary near-ancient sage. Fortunately, he had the world tree to assist him. By killing sages, he could devour their corpses and refine them into immortality fruits, spatial fruits, and other strange fruits. As long as he consumed one immortality fruit, he would be able to raise his clone's cultivation to the sempiternal realm. Fortunately, I have the world tree. Otherwise, how could I afford to support this supreme secret technique? Xia Ping was overjoyed. If he didn't have the world tree, even if he obtained the Great Origin doppelganger technique, it would be very difficult for him to use it. Just nurturing a doppelganger would be enough to bankrupt him. Host, this Great Origin doppelganger technique also has a wonderful feature. That is, each origin doppelganger can easily devour a type of demon god's bloodline and make it their own. They will be able to possess the divine abilities of their bloodline and even transform into a demon god. The system said, for example, if the host infuses the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline into one of the clones, that clone will be able to transform into the Golden Crow of Hell. If the Taoya's bloodline is infused into one of the clones, it will transform into the Tao Tai. There's such a thing? Upon hearing this, Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He had underestimated this supreme secret art. As expected of the forbidden art of the universe, it could only be cultivated by a single person. This was a secret art that was restricted by the laws of the universe. If he could obtain the bloodline of a demon god and transform his essence avatar into that demon god, it would be equivalent to him possessing the bloodline power of all kinds of powerful demon gods. Furthermore, every clone was equivalent to a fiend celestial, possessing all kinds of divine abilities. Although this secret technique consumed a lot of energy, one had to admit that it was heaven-defying. If news of this were to spread, it would probably shake the entire universe. This was a technique that was close to invincible. Interesting. Let's give it a try. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He immediately forced out a drop of Golden Crow Hell's blood from his body and instantly fused it with one of the origin clones. The drop of blood immediately spread to every corner of the origin clone. Dense nomological patterns immediately appeared on the origin clone's body, as if it had completely dissected the secrets of the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline. It gave off a mysterious, powerful, and ancient aura. Crash, in the blink of an eye, the origin avatar had transformed into a miniature Golden Crow of Hell. It had 3 legs and stood in the void. Its entire body was burning with dark golden flames. Every single feather on its body was burning fiercely, and there were complicated runes on them. It was as if the Golden Crow of Hell had once again awakened from the depths of chaos. Xia Ping's heart skipped a beat. He immediately took out an immortal fruit and had his clone swallow it. Rumble, immediately the immortal fruit's majestic energy erupted from the depths of the origin clone's body. In an instant, its cultivation kept rising. In a few breaths' time, it had risen to the pinnacle of the sempiternal realm. The Golden Crow of Hell had also taken on a human form. It was an ordinary human youth who was 9 meters tall. He wore dark golden clothes and there was a Golden Crow rune engraved on his forehead. It seemed to contain powerful origin source laws. A terrifying aura of flames emanated from his body. It was as if he was the ruler of flames, capable of burning everything. Xia Ping immersed his mind in it. He felt as if he had really become the real Golden Crow of Hell. It was as if every single flame on his body contained his will, and he was the flame itself. It was as if mastering the power of flames was like a fish that knew how to swim. It was a skill that he was born with. With a single thought, he could engulf the void within a radius of billions of miles in flames, turning it into a boundless sea of flames. As expected, I can fuse with the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell. Xia Ping exclaimed in excitement. I still have a few other powerful bloodlines in me, such as the World Tree bloodline, Tao Tai bloodline, and even the Black Hole Worm bloodline, Corpse Beast bloodline, and Gaia bloodline. I can use all of them to form my clones. He felt that this secret art was simply too useful. It would allow him to wield many powerful means. Furthermore, if he was not satisfied with these bloodlines, he could just have one of his clones commit suicide and fuse with another bloodline. This way he would not have to worry about making mistakes. It's a pity that I don't have any more spatial fruits on me. Otherwise, I could raise this clone's cultivation to immemorial ancient realm. At this moment, Xiaoping was feeling a little regretful. In order to reach immemorial ancient realm, he had already devoured all of the spatial fruits he had. All he had on him at the moment were a few immortal fruits. Thus, he could only raise this clone's cultivation to sempiternal realm pinnacle. However, this clone was only formed to gather intelligence on the demonic beast race. Thus, it should be more than enough for it to reach sempiternal realm pinnacle. With such thoughts in mind, he immediately instructed Corinne, accept this mission and head to Heim City to gather intelligence on the demonic beast race. Yes. Corinne nodded. Since Xiaoping had already formed such a realistic clone, even if he was discovered, he would not die. There was no reason for Corinne to stop him. He immediately logged into the Universe Virtual Network and accepted the mission. Chapter 2362. Several days later, Xiaoping departed from Thunder City. Of course, only his clone was heading to Heimu City. His real body was still in the villa in Thunder City, cultivating peacefully. Over the past few days, he had completely mastered the Golden Crow of Hell's clone. He only needed to inject a bit of his divine consciousness into the clone and he could easily control it as if it was his own body. He could even make the clone unleash the terrifying combat power of a peak immortal realm expert. It wasn't any weaker than an immortal saint. Moreover, because of the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline, it was even stronger than an ordinary immortal saint. The second clone with the bloodline of the World Tree, the third clone with the bloodline of Tao Tai, and the clone with the bloodline of Gaia were also in the process of incubation. When the time was right, the incubation would be successful and he could completely control the bloodline power. After leaving Thunder City, Xiaoping immediately exerted his full strength. A pair of dark golden wings grew out of his back. The wings flapped and he easily blended into the void. His speed had surpassed the speed of light. Fast, it's too fast. Xiaoping was excited. He found that the Golden Crow of Hell's clone had a very high understanding of space. The pair of dark golden wings seemed to be engraved with many mysterious patterns of principles. The wings gently flapped and the clone's body was enveloped by space energy. It could instantly blend into the void and move dozens of light years away. Although the speed wasn't as fast as his real body, which could move 400 light years in a blink, it was still an astonishing speed. It was all thanks to the power of the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline. Moreover, the pair of Golden Crow of Hell's wings could easily control the wind power, allowing the clone to move freely in the void. It was like a fish in the sea. I thought it would take a long time to reach Heimu City without the help of a spaceship. Now it seems like I can reach there in a few days. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Because this was an investigation mission, he didn't bring any treasures with him for safety reasons. Otherwise, if something were to happen to him, his clone would die in Heimu City, and the treasures on his clone would naturally be left behind in Heimu City. He had many precious treasures that were rare in the universe. He couldn't afford to lose them. Therefore, he decided to go to Heimu City empty-handed. He didn't bring any treasures. Shoo. The wings on Xiaoping's back fluttered lightly, and in an instant he had advanced tens of light years. A ball of dark golden energy even wrapped around his body, preventing any aura from leaking out. Even if a powerful saint were to appear nearby, it would be difficult for them to detect his movements. They would not be able to sense the slight fluctuations in space. This would also prevent other hostile saints from finding trouble with him. It was like a divine bird from the chaotic era, flying freely in the void, high and mighty. Just like that, Xiaoping flew for a few more days. He didn't know how much distance he had traveled, but he knew that he wasn't far from Heimu City. Occasionally he would meet some sages from other races. However, because his speed was too fast and he had concealed his aura, he did not bother with them in case he encountered any trouble. All of a sudden, Xiaoping, who was flying in the air, sensed a series of destructive waves coming from the depths of a huge mountain range in front of him. It seemed that 3 sacred beasts were engaged in a fierce battle with the sacred beasts of the elemental race. Interesting, there are actually 3 beast saints here and they're at a disadvantage. They're being chased by an elemental saint and 2 immortal saints. It seems like the situation is very dangerous. Should we go and help? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Normally he wouldn't bother with such trouble. However, he needed to enter the demon race's Heimu City, and he also needed to enter the demon race's internal department to gather information. If he could save these sacred beasts, he might be able to build a relationship with them, which would reduce a lot of trouble for him in Heimu City. Of course, he didn't need these sacred beasts to help him too much. He only needed to provide some necessary information. Oh, it seems like there's a big problem. I should go and help them. After thinking for a while, Xiaoping immediately made a decision. His figure flashed and he immediately flew down. Thunder Continent, a boundless mountain range. At this moment, 3 peak immortal sacred beasts were being chased by an elemental saint and 2 peak immortal saints of the elemental race. The entire battlefield spanned thousands of light years. Mountains were smashed and flattened. This was a very common thing in the Thunder Continent. As long as the major races appeared on the Thunder Continent, they would kill each other the moment they met. There was no need for any conflict because this was a war. Only the cities occupied by the major races could be considered safe zones. Battles could break out at any time in other places, and even deadly battles could happen. Haha, a bunch of stupid demons? You want to escape from a near-ancient sacred beasts? Dream on. It's your bad luck to run into me. Be obedient and become my battle achievements. The near-ancient sacred beasts of the elemental race laughed happily. He casually released his space domain, which instantly covered a radius of 3 light years. This was equivalent to a distance of about 30 trillion kilometers. It easily covered this area. Even within this space domain, countless layers of space folded, forming a space maze corridor. It was easy to imagine how the 3 immortal demon sages, who had not comprehended spatial laws, could escape from such a spatial maze. Even if they exhausted all their strength, they would only get lost in the spatial domain until they exhausted all their magic power and were caught in a trap. Therefore it was very relaxed now. It was like a cat catching a mouse. Damn it, I can't escape. This space maze is too terrifying. There's no way to escape. One of the immortal sacred beasts had an ugly expression. He now truly felt the terror of a near-ancient sacred beast. The sacred beast's space domain could immediately distort space and create a space maze. This made a space of 100 million kilometers instantly turn into 10 billion kilometers or even a trillion kilometers. Although the immortal sacred beasts were extremely fast, it was impossible to escape such a space maze. It was like catching a turtle in a jar. Why are we so unlucky to encounter an elemental race near ancient sacred beasts? We were already very careful and avoided everywhere, but we still encountered this. The other immortal sacred beast's face turned pale. He regretted so much that his intestines turned green. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have taken the risk. He didn't expect to encounter a near-ancient sacred beasts. They were a whole realm apart and couldn't fight at all. Although they could rely on their immortal bodies to survive for a period of time, once their magic power was used up, it would be their time of death. Chapter 2363. Help, get our race's ancient demon overlords to help. Why aren't any ancient demon overlords here? The remaining undying demon overlords shouted and wanted to ask for help. As long as their demon overlords arrived, they would be able to survive. We sent out a distress signal long ago, but it was useless. Another undying demon overlord gritted his teeth. Our demon race's communication equipment is too backward. It's far from the human race's universe virtual network. It ignores distance and has no delay. We can ask for help instantly. As long as our communication equipment is jammed, we won't be able to send out a distress signal. Obviously, these elemental race bastards used jamming equipment to interfere with our communication. They came prepared. He had an ugly expression. Obviously, these elemental race saints were here to kill the demon overlords. After all, human saints were too difficult to kill. With the universe virtual network, it was difficult to interfere with signals. They could send out distress signals at any time. Sometimes, killing one might lead to a group of them. Who knew who would be killed by then? Therefore, the demon race became the easiest targets. The human race was extremely difficult to deal with. Without absolute confidence, they would not easily provoke them. Damn it, why don't our powerful demon race have technology like the universe virtual network? If we could ask for help, our race's ancient demon overlords would definitely be able to come quickly. We wouldn't have lost so many overlords. An undying demon overlord was extremely envious of the human race's communication network. Although it was just an auxiliary method, one would only know how important communication was in times of war. Especially in the boundless universe, if one could not communicate in time, it meant they were alone. They would never be able to find their comrades and it would be difficult to get support. Haha, still want to ask for help? Struggle? Dream on. The elemental race saint said in disdain, Your demon race is powerful and has a terrifying number. You have the highest number of demon overlords, but your technology is too backward. I've been fighting on Thunder Continent for so long. How can I not have any methods to deal with you demons? Jamming signals is just a normal operation. You are trapped in my space domain, no one can know that you are in trouble. Right now, no one can help you, no matter who you call, it will be useless, do you understand? Of course, you can also self-destruct. With the power of an undying saint, you might be able to blast open my space domain and let one or two of you escape. I wonder which of you has the courage to do so? It looked at the three undying overlords sinisterly and tried to sow discord. To be honest, self-detonation was the only way the three immortal overlords could threaten a near-ancient sage. Once an immortal overlord self-detonated, the resulting force would definitely heavily injure a near-ancient sage. The problem was that the sages of the ancient era were no fools. If they knew that the other party was going to self-destruct, they could teleport a few light years away with a single thought and completely avoid the explosion. Therefore, while such a method was threatening, there was a limit to it. It was not to the extent that the sages of the ancient times would be afraid to take action. Moreover, they were all undying saints. They all cherished their lives. If it wasn't for the fact that they had no hope, they wouldn't be willing to self-destruct and die together with the enemy. They wouldn't do that unless it was absolutely necessary. Most importantly, there were a total of 3 immortal demon sages. Which of them would be willing to sacrifice themselves and let the other 2 escape? None of them were the kind of people who would sacrifice themselves for others. These words were simply like a thorn in their hearts, and it completely stopped their thoughts of detonating themselves and fighting desperately. Haha, a bunch of stupid fae indeed. Just a few words made them lose the courage to fight desperately. Seems like they're rookies who haven't been out for long. Seeing this, the near-ancient fae saint of the elemental race said proudly, "But if I wasn't lazy to use the whirling disaster poison, these 3 immortal demon sages would have died long ago. It's better to slowly grind them down. There's no need to waste such a treasure." If it had used the whirling disaster poison, it would have killed these 3 immortal demon sages long ago. There was no need to fight slowly. However, even as a near-ancient sage, it was still very poor. After all, although it could obtain more treasures at this realm, it also required a lot of resources. A portion of whirling disaster poison was considered a universe wonder. It was priceless. Even near-ancient sages would feel the pinch and be reluctant to use it. If it could slowly grind these 3 immortal demon sages to death, there would be no need to waste so much money. Damn it. The 3 immortal demon sages were forced to flee. In order to avoid the near-ancient sage of the elemental race and the 2 immortal sages' attacks, they fled frantically and expended their magic power. However, they were like headless flies. They were stuck in this spatial maze and could not escape. As time passed, most of their magic power was consumed. It was difficult for them to maintain their immortal bodies. Even their soul origin was greatly damaged. It's about time. These 3 immortal demon sages' magic power has been mostly consumed. It seems like it's time to kill them. The near-ancient sage of the elemental race was also a sly person. Sensing the situation of the 3 immortal demon sages, he immediately wanted to kill them. He sensed an opportunity to get rid of these 3 immortal demon sages. Spatial slash. The near-ancient sage of the elemental race revealed a cold glint in his eyes. He waved his hand like a blade and condensed a powerful spatial power. He tried to kill the 3 immortal demon sages with one slash. This was a blade radiance condensed with supreme spatial power. Even immortal demon sages could not block it. They had been slashed by this spatial blade radiance several times. If it wasn't for their immortal bodies, they would have died a terrible death. Just as the near-ancient sage of the elemental race was about to make a move, a divine bird suddenly barged in and landed in front of the near-ancient sage of the elemental race. It emitted a powerful immortal undulation that seemed to distort the void. Who's there? The near-ancient sage of the elemental race and the 2 immortal sages were shocked. They did not expect an enemy to barge in at this moment. They saw a black-clothed young man appear in front of them. He looked like a human, but there seemed to be a pair of dark golden wings that were over 10 meters long growing out of his back. He was quietly burning with flames and emitting powerful immortal undulations. This uninvited guest was a sempiternal realm pinnacle demonic overlord. Without a doubt he was Xia Ping. He had barged in when the 3 immortal demon sages were about to die. In fact, there was a trick to saving people. If the other party was not in a situation of certain death, the other party might not be very grateful if he came out to save them. However, if they were in a situation of certain death and someone actually appeared to save them at this time, then this kind of gratitude was needless to say, it was simply indescribable. Chapter 2364. Fuck, an immortal overlord dares to barge in to save people? Is this a joke? One of the elemental race's immortal overlord immediately sensed Xia Ping's immortal wave. He was speechless. He originally thought that the one who dared to barge in was a near-ancient overlord. For a moment he felt extremely regretful. He felt that he should have killed the 3 immortal overlords long ago. Otherwise, a near-ancient overlord wouldn't have barged in at this time. But now he wanted to laugh out loud. A puny immortal overlord actually dared to save people in front of a near-ancient overlord. How was this saving people? He was practically sending himself to his death. Haha, I was really scared to death just now. I thought we were so unlucky to encounter a near-ancient overlord. Maybe our operation would fail. I didn't expect it to be an immortal overlord. What is this guy trying to do? Even if he thinks his life is too long, he can't just send himself to his death like this. Another elemental race's immortal overlord immediately laughed loudly. Seems like we're really lucky today. Not only did we capture 3 immortal overlords, but there's also a 4th immortal overlord coming to die. This is killing 4 birds with 1 stone. The elemental race's immortal overlord also laughed loudly. He was in a good mood. It was as if he had just won the first prize. Now he actually won the first prize again. The surprises were endless. This. The 3 immortal overlords were instantly dumbfounded when they saw this. To be honest, they were extremely happy when Xia Ping barged in. It was as if their prayers had been heard by the heavens. At the crucial moment, a near-ancient overlord was actually sent to save their lives. They were not fated to die today. But when they saw the aura Xia Ping displayed, their faces turned green. This was actually an immortal overlord. To be honest, facing the near-ancient overlord space domain, even a few more immortal overlords would be useless. Without comprehending the spatial law, it was impossible to escape from this space maze. This guy coming here was just sending himself to his death. There was no other use. Their mood suddenly fell from heaven to hell. No words could describe their feelings at this moment. If they could, they wanted to curse at this guy for being stupid. He clearly knew that he was sending himself to his death, yet he still came. Was he trying to increase the credit for the elemental race? Were they afraid that the elementals hadn't killed enough demon saints? However, they couldn't say such words out loud. After all, the other party had come to save them. How could they speak ill of such a savior? I am the demon saint of the Fire Raven clan. My name is Crow. Xia Ping ignored the thoughts of this group of demon saints and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. You dare to hunt demon saints of my demon race here? This crime is punishable by death. If you leave now, I can still let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, when my demon race's great sage arrives, you will definitely die without a burial place. The prestige of the demon race is not to be blasphemed. Kill your sister. One of the elemental race's undying saint cursed. Demon race is nothing. Do you think we'll lose to you? What a joke. You even said that we'll let bygones be bygones? Is this something a puny undying demon saint like you can say? Hee, if you were a near-ancient demon saint, perhaps we'd be a bit afraid. But you're just an undying demon saint. You dare to be so arrogant in front of us with such strength? To tell you the truth, you're finished today. You'll pay a painful price for your reckless actions. Trying to save people without strength? I'll laugh my teeth off. Another undying demon saint sneered. Foolish demon saint, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Stay here with me. The near-ancient demon saint of the elemental race was even more straightforward. He didn't waste any words and immediately activated his space domain. Terrifying spatial power enveloped the area, wanting to drag Xia Ping into his space maze. Oh no. The 3 undying demon saints' expressions changed drastically. They knew how terrifying near-ancient sages were. If the so-called Crow entered the near-ancient sage's space domain, he wouldn't be able to escape. He would be completely suppressed like them. However, it was impossible for them to stop it. Near-ancient sages' attacks were simply too fast. With just a thought, the space domain could envelop them. There was no way to dodge. Boom. In an instant, the space domain enveloped Xia Ping's body. Tyrannical space force came crushing down from all directions. It was as if the void had turned into a swamp. There were enemies everywhere. It was almost impossible to move. Fire. Xia Ping stood where he was and formed seals with his hands. He activated the golden crow of hell's bloodline in his body. In an instant, dark golden flames surged out from the 108,000 pores on his body. With his body as the center, the area within 10 million kilometers turned into a sea of fire. Whoosh! This was the Golden Crow's fire from the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline. It was a terrifying flame of extreme yang in the world. There was nothing it couldn't burn. Even the void would collapse from the heat. When the Golden Crow's fire burned over, the void within a radius of 10 million kilometers was burned to the point of collapse, and tens of thousands of black holes appeared. Even the near-ancient sage's space domain could not suppress such power. At this moment, the entire space domain was filled with holes from the flames. Countless holes appeared. Ark! The near-ancient sage let out a shrill scream. The space domain was equivalent to the essence of his soul. If it was torn apart, it would be the same as tearing his soul apart. He would be heavily injured. The Golden Crow's fire could even burn souls. Even the souls of near-ancient sages could not withstand it. With a thud, the ancient sage immediately removed the space domain on his body. If this continued, his soul might be burned to ashes. He felt pain he had never felt before. He even suffered injuries that he had not experienced in billions of years. Impossible. What kind of flame is this? Even the space domain can't withstand it. It even burned through the void. The two immortal sages of the elemental race were dumbfounded. They could not believe their eyes. Normally, near-ancient sages would have an absolute advantage against immortal sages. However, the terrifying flames emanating from the mysterious crow had severely injured their near-ancient sage. What kind of joke was this? This is our chance. Run. Run quickly. When the three immortal overlords saw this, they were overjoyed. They didn't expect the mysterious crow to be so powerful. With one move, the elemental race's near-ancient sage was severely injured. Even his space domain was burned to the point of collapsing. Without the restraint and suppression of the space domain, they could take the opportunity to escape. Chapter 2365. Brother, thanks. Let's take this opportunity to run. Don't waste time. Yes, let's slip away. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In an instant, the three immortal beast sages were overjoyed. They immediately fled into the distance. Of course, they did not forget to call out to the mysterious crow as they fled. Without his words, they wouldn't have had the chance to escape. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The three immortal overlords were going all out. They burned their blood essence and turned into streams of light that pierced through the void and left quickly. Seeing this, Xiaoping did not continue to attack the near-ancient saint of the elemental race. Instead, he chose to leave with the three great demon saints. His wings fluttered and he easily blended into the void at an extremely fast speed. After all, his goal this time was not to kill these ancient sages, but to build a good relationship with these immortal overlords and seize the opportunity to enter Heimu's city. Damn it, don't run. Don't run if you have the guts. You dare to stab me in the back. What kind of hero are you? Stay here immediately. Seeing this scene, the two great elemental race undying saints were both shocked and furious. This was like a cooked duck flying away. How could they tolerate something like this? They both rushed forward and chased after him. Unfortunately, they were not as fast as the three great demon saints, who had exerted all their strength to display their secret skills of speed. In just a short while, they could no longer detect the auras and traces of those demon saints. Stop chasing. At this time, the near-ancient elemental saint finally recovered. His expression was very gloomy as he stared at the backs of Xiaoping and the other beast saints. But sir, it wasn't easy for us to capture those Yao sages. Now that they've escaped, all our efforts have gone to waste. How are we going to find another opportunity like this in the future? That's right. Those are three immortal overlords. If we kill all of them, we'll gain unimaginable merits. We'll have enough cultivation resources for the next 1,000,000 years. The two elemental immortal demon sages were very indignant. It can't be helped. Who would have thought that the crow would be so terrifying? If I wasn't careful, I would have failed miserably. That elemental race saint gritted his teeth. Looks like I can't underestimate any undying saint in the future. I have to kill them the moment I see them. Otherwise, I won't even know what happens. If it had known that Wu was eyeing them covetously, it would have used the whirling calamity poison to kill the three immortal demon sages a long time ago. Why would it wait until now? Because he was too stingy, he was not willing to use such an artifact, and as a result, all his efforts were in vain. Milord, exactly what kind of power did Wu use to actually tear apart Milord's spatial domain? The two undying saints were confused. I'm not sure, but the power of this flame is extremely terrifying. It should be a heavenly flame, and it should be one of the top heavenly flames in the universe. Its power is boundless, and even a space domain can't resist it. If I hadn't withdrawn the space domain in time, I'm afraid I would have been heavily injured by this heavenly flame. It was really dangerous. The ancient sage clenched his fists with lingering fear in his heart. He didn't expect that he would be threatened by an immortal demon sage one day. He almost failed miserably. The two immortal demon sages glanced at each other and didn't know what to say. Even a near-ancient sage was so afraid of Wu. One could imagine how terrifying Wu was. Although the attack happened in an instant and didn't last for too long, it also revealed how powerful Wu was. He definitely wasn't someone an ordinary immortal demon sage could compare to. However, they didn't find it strange because this was the Mystic Zone, a place where countless sages gathered in the universe. No matter how powerful or monstrous a sage was, it wouldn't be strange. This place itself was a place where monsters came out. Well, I've completely remembered you. Don't let me see you in the Thunder Continent again, or I'll definitely kill you. The near-ancient sage of the elemental race gnashed his teeth. He rarely suffered such a huge loss, and because of this loss he completely remembered Wu from the Fire Crow race. He also had a premonition that as long as Wu didn't die, he would definitely cause endless waves in the Thunder Sea region. One day later, in another mountain range of the Thunder Continent, the three immortal demon sages ran for a day and a night. They didn't know how far they had run. They only relaxed when they felt that they should have gotten rid of the near-ancient sage of the elemental race. Alright, let's stop. This place is only a day's journey from our demon race's city, Hymus City. Our race has endless demon sages. Even if the near-ancient sage of the elemental race was given a few guts, he wouldn't dare to come here and court death. We should be safe for the time being. There's no need to continue running, said an immortal demon sage at this moment. He immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you so much, Wu. If it weren't for you, the three of us would definitely have died in the hands of the near-ancient sage of the elemental race. We owe you our lives. The three immortal demon sages looked gratefully at Xiaoping, who was standing next to them. If it weren't for this immortal demon sage who suddenly appeared, they would probably have died without a burial place. You're welcome. It was just a small effort. It's not worth mentioning. Xiaoping waved his hand and said modestly. During this day he had learned some information about the three immortal demon sages. They were the Thunder Tiger race's demon sage Bradley, the Water Shark race's demon sage Heller, and the Blood Wolf race's immortal demon sage Jonas. They were all demon sages in a small team. Originally, they had only planned to adventure near Hymus City and search for some treasures. They hadn't expected to be so unlucky as to encounter the near-ancient sage of the elemental race and almost get killed. No. It was just a small effort for Wu, but for us, it's a life-saving grace. If you need any help, just let us know. We'll do it without hesitation. The Thunder Tiger race's demon sage Bradley patted his chest with a righteous look on his face. In that case, I do have something that I need your help with. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping didn't stand on ceremony. Actually, this is my first time in the Thunder Sea region. I'm not familiar with this place at all. I've never entered Hymus City either. May I know what procedures are needed to enter this city? First time here? Brother Wu, have you never interacted with other demon sages before? The Water Shark race's demon sage Heller asked curiously. Indeed, I haven't. My Fire Crow race is located in a remote area and isolated from the world. This is the first time I've left the ancestral land and ventured elsewhere. Xiaoping nodded, indicating that he was a rookie. I see. The three immortal demon sages nodded in unison and came to a sudden realization. No wonder this guy was so rash and dared to help even when he saw near-ancient sages. It turned out that he was inexperienced. If he were a wily old fox, he wouldn't have helped them. He probably wouldn't have even looked at them and let them die. Chapter 2366. In fact, Bradley and the other immortal demon sages did not doubt Xiaoping's words. After all, such a situation was very common in the universe. Although many demon sages were born in the headquarters of the demon race and were trained by the huge resources of the demon race, it did not mean that they did not have unorthodox methods. It was just like how there were many primitive planets in the boundless territory of the human race. These planets were also inhabited by a large number of humans who had never come into contact with other humans in the universe. These humans were indigenous humans. Furthermore, the demon race was in the same situation. Many demons lived in isolated places. They did not have any contact with the demon race's headquarters, nor did they have any connection. They were all indigenous demons. However, such indigenous demons would occasionally give birth to some geniuses. It was not strange for some demon sages to appear. They would naturally accept these indigenous demon sages. After all, they were all members of the demon race and needed to fight with other races all the time. Of course, the more helpers they had, the better. At this moment they were secretly rejoicing. Fortunately, this crow had not been deeply involved in the world and had not been contaminated by society. He still knew what it meant to stand up for a just cause. Otherwise they might really be dead today. Don't worry about that. Water Shark Demon Sage Heller patted his chest. Our demon race is all-inclusive. As long as you are a member of the demon race, you can join us. There will be no exclusion. Not to mention, given your strength, once you join our demon temple, you will probably immediately become a demon sage who will receive countless resources. Demon temple? Upon hearing this, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He had also learned from the intelligence of the human race that the so-called demon temple was a super organization where many demon sages of the demon race gathered. It was equivalent to an organization that was responsible for governing the entire demon race. Even the powerful divine artifact demon temple that Tu Linglong and Qing Wan received was created by the powerful figures of the demon race. It was scattered all over the universe and specially responsible for nurturing demon race geniuses. Can anyone join the demon race? Xiaoping asked curiously. In fact, the demon race was a collective name. It was a super race formed by the union of various small and large races. Therefore, the demon race was all-inclusive and had countless races. It was the most complex of the top races. In the beginning, some of the king races of the demon race united and ruled over countless vassal races. Finally, the name demon race was formed. Therefore, the races of the demon race were extremely complicated. Most races could call themselves the demon race. Not really. The Blood Wolf race's immortal Fey sage Jonas shook his head. Some peak races like the human race, elemental race, automaton race, insectoid race, dragon race, and other races are absolutely not allowed to join the Fey race. If any living being was found to have the bloodline of these peak races, they would be expelled from the demon race and would never be treated as a member of the demon race. However, other than these peak clans, the other weaker clans, as long as they are willing to call themselves the demon clan, they can naturally join and become one of the demon clan. I see. Xiaoping nodded. He finally understood a little about the structure of the demon race. It was precisely because of the unique characteristics of the demon race that any weak race could call themselves a member of the demon race. They could join and become a member of the demon race. This also made the demon race the race with the largest number of peak races. Could be said that they had the most demon saints. However, it was also because of this that there were too many races, which led to the internal conflicts of the demon race. Sometimes, the internal conflicts within the demon race were even more serious than the conflicts between the other peak races. After all, it was very difficult to coordinate the interests of so many races. If one party gained benefits, the other party would definitely suffer losses. Therefore, although the demon race had the most sages, in fact because they were not united enough, their overall combat strength was the weakest. They were at a disadvantage in most battles. Another day passed. Xiaoping, Bradley, and the other immortal demon saints finally arrived at Heimu City. This is Heimu City? Xiaoping looked up and saw a towering city in the distance. A city wall stretched across the wilderness like a giant dragon. It stretched for at least hundreds of light years. This city wall was completely made of black rocks. It emitted a rough, wild, simple, bloody aura and other auras. It was different from the sci-fi style of the human race. It was purely the most primitive and rough style. It was as if nothing had changed since the primordial era. It revealed pure violence and primitive nature, as if it was a building from the tribal era. However, this city wall was also engraved with densely packed restriction arrays. Extremely complicated nomological patterns appeared and resonated with the origins of the universe. It could be said that this city's defensive strength was not inferior to the human race's Thunder City. Swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, many demon sages were also entering and leaving Heimu City. The city gate was extremely tall. It was hundreds of thousands of feet tall and could accommodate any universe behemoth. There are so many demon sages. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He saw many demon sages entering and leaving the city gate. At a glance, there were at least 10,000 demon sages. Most of them were immortal demon saints. However, a considerable number of them were ancient demon sages. Even one or two medieval demon sages would occasionally appear. It could only be said that the demon race was indeed a peak race with the most sages. The liveliness of this city was probably far greater than that of the human race's Thunder City. There were also many people. Very soon, under the lead of Bradley and the other demon sages, Xiaoping arrived at the city gate of Heimu City. A vast empty space appeared in front of him. It was like a wilderness. Many demon sages were on this square and were being tested by Heimu City. Rumble. In an instant, an enormous black and white eyeball appeared in the sky above the square. This eyeball was extremely huge like a planet, and the depths of its pupil contained dense markings of the laws. It was unfathomable. What's that? Xiaoping instinctively sensed that this eyeball contained formidable energy and a deep sense of threat. That's a peerless saint artifact of my demon race, the Last Day's Eye. Bradley explained, this saint artifact is capable of seeing through the secrets of the souls of all living beings in the universe. Even primeval saints are unable to conceal themselves before the Last Day's Eye. Every time we enter and leave Heimu City, we'll be detected by the Last Day's Eye, and any enemy that tries to enter Heimu City will be discovered by the Last Day's Eye. Practically no mishaps have occurred throughout the years. The Last Day's Eye. When he heard this, Xiaoping finally understood why the demon race didn't possess top-rate technology like the human race, yet so few enemies were able to invade Heimu City. So it was because of the Last Day's Eye. A peerless saint artifact like this contained the complete laws of the universe, and its profundities were something that most technology couldn't compare to. Chapter 2367. But a peerless saint artifact should be very precious, right? Even if it's the demon race, such a magic treasure can be considered as a clan-guarding magic treasure. Why has it appeared in Heimu City? Asked Xiaoping curiously. Even amongst the peak races, peerless saint artifacts could be considered as extremely precious magic treasures. They wouldn't appear easily, and they would be strictly protected by numerous saints. On the other hand, the Sea of Lightning could only be considered as an ordinary place in the mystic zones, so it was truly too extravagant for such a place to be protected by a peerless saint artifact. Ah, Brother Wu, that eyeball in the sky isn't the real Eye of the Last Days. In fact, it's merely a projection of the Eye of the Last Days. The real Eye of the Last Days is being protected within the headquarters of the demon race. When he heard this, the eternal demon saint of the Water Shark clan, Heller, roared with laughter. Actually, this clone projection was created by an invincible demon saint of my clan who utilized the supreme divine ability to circulate the energy of the Last Day's Eye and project it into every single city of my demon race in the mystic zones. Thanks to the energy of these projections, every single city of my demon race in the mystic zones is being monitored and protected by the Last Day's Eye, and no enemies are able to enter with ease. Clone projection. Xiaoping even exclaimed with admiration at how formidable the peerless saint artifact, the Last Day's Eye, was. It was actually capable of splitting into a myriad of projections and radiating its energy to every single corner of the mystic zones. This obviously showed how formidable the Last Day's Eye was. Such a magic treasure could be considered as a clan-guarding magic treasure, and it was peerlessly formidable. It was probably on par with the illusion race's peerless saint artifact, the illusory nightmare pearl, and it might even be more formidable to a certain extent. Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, the black and white eyeball in the sky spun lightly, and then a strand of mysterious and formidable energy instantly descended and completely enveloped the square and every single demon saint. On the other hand, Xiaoping instantly sensed a formidable and mysterious gaze sweeping down from above him, and it penetrated every single corner of his body. Even his spatial ring was unable to escape this gaze. It was like all his secrets had been exposed at this moment. He was completely naked and he had no privacy at all. Even if he wanted to conceal it, it would probably be impossible to conceal it from this eye. At this moment, he was very thankful that he had the foresight to not bring any treasures into Heimu City. Otherwise, who knew how many of his secrets would have been leaked? Xiaoping wasn't worried that the Eye of the Last Days would be able to see through his identity as a human, because the profundities of the Grand Origin clone technique far exceeded the Eye of the Last Day's imagination. This clone of his was actually the body of a demon, and even its soul was the soul of a demon. Therefore he wasn't too worried. At this moment, a mechanical voice rang out from the sky above the square. It seemed to resonate with the void and spread to every corner of the square. Beep, 13,456 people have been tested. No dangerous items are hidden. 13,400 people have the token of the demonic temple. 56 people don't have the token of the demonic temple. Invincible against race invasion, safe. No one is carrying any dangerous items. Safe. Safe passage. Examination complete. You may now open the city gate. Hearing these words, all the demon sages present heaved a sigh of relief. Bradley and the other demon saints heaved sighs of relief as well, and they felt much more relaxed as they looked at Xiaoping. Even though they felt that it was impossible for Xiaoping to be from an enemy race, they still had many misgivings since he hadn't been tested by the Eye of the Last Days. Now that he'd been verified by the Eye of the Last Days, he was one of them, and they didn't have to worry about anything. Xiaoping felt much more relaxed as well. Sure enough, I've passed the Eye of the Last Days examination. Looks like I'll be able to safely enter Heimu City this time. However, he was still slightly worried before everything was over. Rumble. Meanwhile, an enormous white door of light instantly appeared in front of the square. It was a spatial door. Supposedly, this door was extremely far away from Heimu City, and it was separated by countless layers of folded space. If one didn't pass through this spatial door, then it was practically impossible to arrive at Heimu City. This was one of the defensive measures of Heimu City. Once enemies invaded, then so long as they couldn't pass through this spatial door, then they would be able to keep the enemies outside the city. Swoosh, swoosh. When they saw the white door of light appear, all the demon saints who were already familiar with it entered the white door of light one after another. As for Xiaoping and the others, they didn't hesitate to step into it. In an instant, a wave of spatial changes occurred. Xiaoping felt as if he'd passed through countless layers of folded space, and then he instantly appeared in another space. So, this is the interior of Heimu City? Xiaoping opened his eyes and looked at Heimu City. The city was extremely huge and it simply stretched as far as the eye could see. Numerous lofty and ancient buildings stood towering on both sides of the road. They seemed extremely wild and primitive, as if they were purely formed from enormous black rocks that weighed a few tens of tons. They were enormous, hard, and indestructible. These buildings weren't built for the sake of beauty, but for the sake of war. Even if enemies invaded, so long as they hid within these buildings, then they would be able to resist for a period of time. It could be said that every single building was equivalent to a fortress of war. Brother Wu. At this time, Thunder Tiger Race's Demon Saint Bradley said to Xiaoping, every demon saint who enters Heimu City has to go to the sacred demon temple for the first time to obtain their token. This is equivalent to identity verification. As long as you have this token of the sacred demon temple, Brother Wu, you will be a member of the demon race. You will be able to go to any demon race city in the mystic area without any obstructions. You won't need to go through the strict test like before. Then where can I get this token? Xiaoping asked. He looked at Bradley. Since there was such a way to easily integrate into the demon race, he naturally wouldn't let this opportunity slip by. Follow me. The Demon Saint Temple is in the center of Heimu City. It's the biggest building and the real headquarters of Heimu City. It's said that the real top demon saints of Heimu City cultivate and live there. Even the medieval demon saint often appears there, said the demon saint. Water Shark Race's immortal demon Saint Heller volunteered to bring Xiaoping to the sacred demon temple in Heimu City. I'll have to trouble you with that. Xiaoping nodded. His eyes gleamed. The sacred demon temple was probably the highest administrative center of the demon race in Heimu City. It was also a place where countless powerful demon saints gathered. If he approached the sacred demon temple, he might be able to find some clues about the demon race. Perhaps this was a great opportunity to find out the secrets of Heimu City. This was something he couldn't miss. Whoosh. Next, Heller and the other two immortal demon saints brought Xiaoping to the sacred demon temple in Heimu City. Chapter 2368. Heimu City Demon Saint Hall. This was a huge palace located in the center of Heimu City. It covered an area of at least tens of millions of kilometers. It was like a super behemoth of the universe lying in the center of the city. There were even huge space-time wormholes around the palace, which seemed to be connected to an unknown distant place. Battleships flew out of the wormholes and a large number of resources entered and exited the palace. It could be said that this place was the cargo center of Heimu City. This palace could also be considered as the administrative center. There were many departments that were divided into different locations. There were also powerful restrictive spells and formations everywhere. Even sages who had reached the Middle Ancient Realm could not behave atrociously in this place. Otherwise, they would be completely confined by the restrictive arrays and turned into ashes. There were even powerful demon sages hidden in every corner of this palace. This place was the most heavily guarded forbidden area in Heimu City. At this moment, Xiaoping followed Bradley and the other immortal demon sages to the Demon Saint Hall. Ha! Xia Ping's heart jumped when he just arrived at this majestic and powerful ancient palace. It seemed that a trace of power deep in his soul had formed a connection with this palace. There was a familiar feeling. This is the aura of the primordial heavenly dragon talismans? Xia Ping immediately sensed the aura of many primordial heavenly dragon talismans in the depths of the Demon Saint Hall. As he had refined dozens of them, he was extremely sensitive to the aura of the primordial heavenly dragon talismans. Even though the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were beside his body, he could still sense the primordial heavenly dragon talismans on him through the spiritual connection. This was an instinctive reaction to meeting one of their own. One had to know that there were a total of 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, which represented the power of the 3,000 great Tao of the universe. Because of a battle, they had been scattered all over the universe. No one knew which world or which planet they had appeared in. However, one had to admit that the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were extremely powerful. Every additional primordial heavenly dragon talisman would double its power. The more there were, the more powerful it would be. If all 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were gathered, they could immediately condense a peerless sage artifact. This was a peerless Dharma treasure that could shake the world. Its power was unimaginable. Even if an undying saint wielded a peerless saint artifact, he could still wrestle with the saints of the Middle Ages. From this, one could see how powerful a peerless saint artifact was. It definitely surpassed common sense. Such an intense reaction. It seems like there are many primordial heavenly dragon talismans hidden in the depths of the Demon Sacred Hall. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He could sense that there were hundreds of primordial heavenly dragon talismans hidden in the depths of the Demon Sacred Hall. He had previously tried to find some primordial heavenly dragon talismans, but to no avail. There were no traces of them at all. After all, the primordial sky dragon talisman was extremely precious. Even a single talisman contained infinite power. If the refinement was successful, one would immediately receive the nourishment of the primordial sky dragon's aura. It would strengthen one's bloodline and raise one's natural endowment, bringing endless benefits to oneself. Opportunity. This is definitely a great opportunity. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He felt that if it was possible, he would plunder all the primordial heavenly dragon talismans in the depths of the Demon Sacred Hall and take them for himself. It would definitely greatly enhance his combat power. Unfortunately, this was the Demon Sacred Hall, the headquarters of the demon clan in Heimu City. It was the most heavily guarded place in the city. Moreover, there were many powerful demon sages guarding it. He couldn't act rashly. Otherwise he would definitely die. He suppressed his excitement for the time being. "Brother Wu, what's wrong with you?" Bradley and the other immortal demon sages asked curiously when they saw Xia Ping's expression. "No, I'm just a little excited that I finally have the opportunity to join the Demon Sacred Hall and become a member of the demon clan." Xia Ping smiled and concealed his emotions calmly. "Ah, Brother Wu, you are too polite. Joining the Demon Sacred Hall is nothing. With your strength and potential, it's only natural for you to join the Demon Sacred Hall. Sooner or later, you will become a big shot in the Demon Sacred Hall. At that time you might need Brother Wu's help." Bradley and the other immortal demon sages laughed and felt that Wu was really interesting. Before Xia Ping could answer, someone suddenly interrupted. "A big shot in the Demon Sacred Hall? You must be dreaming. Do you really think that any trash can join the Demon Sacred Hall? Even if they really join, they will only be small figures at the bottom for the rest of their lives, just like you three losers." Xia Ping squinted and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a young man in colorful clothes at the entrance of the Demon Sacred Hall. He was extremely tall, with a human body and a snake head. He had a long snake tail and a pair of purple horns on his head. He had a pair of purple vertical pupils that emitted a demonic light that seemed to contain a power that could take one's soul away. At the same time, his body emitted spots of starlight, as if thousands of stars were orbiting around his body. Dense lines of the star law appeared on the snake tail, filled with powerful star power. However, the star power was not quiet and peaceful. Instead, it was full of violence, as if it could devour and kill everything. This young man was a demon saint. He was an immortal demon saint who had comprehended the law of space. He had at least reached the middle stage of the immortal ancient realm. Behind this young man stood a dozen followers. They seemed to be members of the Snake Clan. They would spit out their scarlet tongues from time to time, which made people shiver. It seemed that they would attack at any time. Their strength had also reached the peak of the immortal realm. They were no weaker than Bradley and the other immortal demon saints. They were even stronger than Bradley to some extent. It seemed that their bloodlines were of a higher level. Brother Wu, be careful. This fellow is from the Starlight Python clan, the royal clan of our demon race. He was born with the power of the stars and his bloodline is very rich. This fellow's name is Leopold. He is a famous genius in the Starlight Python clan. At this moment, the immortal demon saint of the Water Shark clan, Heller, sent a voice transmission secretly. We used to be very familiar with each other. We were even in the same organization. Because of some things we had a conflict with this guy. As a result, he bore a grudge against us. So, this guy likes to make trouble for us from time to time and taunt us. So, don't pay too much attention to this guy. He said that this Starlight Python Leopold was very narrow-minded. He would take revenge for the smallest grievance. Even if he glared at him or stepped on his foot, he would get his revenge. He was a loathsome guy in Heim City. Unfortunately, he was a member of the Starlight Python clan. No demon saint dared to harm him. Chapter 2369. Leopold, what does our conversation have to do with you? Is bragging against the law in Jianghu City? Thunder Tiger Tribe's immortal overlord Bradley suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice. Of course not, but don't brag in front of me. Otherwise, I'll be in a very bad mood today. If I'm in a bad mood, you'll be in big trouble. Leopold stood with his hands clasped behind his back and said arrogantly. You. Bradley gritted his teeth. He knew that Leopold was extremely arrogant and liked to cause trouble, but he didn't expect him to be this domineering. He was too arrogant. However, they were far inferior to him in terms of status and strength, so they could only swallow their anger. Sorry, Lord Leopold. It's indeed our fault if we caused you to be in a bad mood. We're willing to apologize. If there's nothing else, we'll be entering the demonic divine temple now. Blood Wolf Tribe's immortal overlord Jonas stepped forward. He wanted to take Xia Ping and the others away from this place. He didn't want to have a conflict with the famous hedonistic Leopold here. If there really was a conflict, they would be the unlucky ones. They wouldn't get any benefits. Wait, did I say you could leave? You want to leave just like that? Who do you think I am? You don't give me any face? Are you trying to provoke me? Leopold snorted and stared at Xia Ping and the others. More than a dozen of its subordinates stood up and blocked Xia Ping and the others. Lord Leopold, what are you trying to do? In Jianghu City, no demonic divine overlords are allowed to fight without reason. Otherwise, they'll be imprisoned or even executed on the spot. You didn't forget this rule, did you? Seeing the other party's actions, Bradari's heart skipped a beat. He immediately brought up the rules of Jianghu City to stop the other party. Of course I didn't forget this rule. Leopold's expression turned serious. Even if he was a member of the royal family, even if he was an ancient demonic overlord, he would still be executed if he broke the rules. However, I didn't intend to fight. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. I remember that you sent a distress signal, saying that you were ambushed by the elemental races near Ancient Sage. I thought you were dead for sure. I didn't expect you to come back alive. What exactly happened in the process? How did you come back alive? Leopold asked casually. Upon hearing that, Bradley and the other immortal demon sages' expressions turned ugly. According to what this fellow meant, he clearly believed that the three of them were doomed and had no hope of survival. They were not surprised that Leopold knew about this, because such a distress signal would be sent out over a wide area, and all the demon saints nearby would receive such a signal. So it was not impossible for Leopold to receive their distress signal. That has nothing to do with you. How we survive is our own business. Bradbury was very stubborn and did not want to answer the question. Fools, do you think you can hide anything? That's why you had the chance to escape from the hands of the elemental race's ancient saints. Tell me, is my information correct or not? Since you already know, why are you still asking? The hearts of Bradley and the other demon saints sank. They had a vague feeling that something was wrong. I only asked because I wanted to see if all of you were being honest. I didn't expect that all of you were trying to play dumb. However, trash like you are not qualified to enter my eyes. Leopold fixed his eyes on Xia Ping and said, You're Wu, the one who saved the three good-for-nothings in Bradbury, aren't you? Judging from the way you entered the demon temple for the first time, you should be a native of the demon clan. You haven't been in contact with the demon temple before, right? It asked, but it didn't seem to want Xia Ping to answer. A native demon without the resources of the demon divine temple was able to become an immortal demon overlord by himself. That's quite impressive. However, the most impressive thing is that you're only an immortal demon overlord, but you've mastered a kind of power that even the ancient saints can't do anything about. Looking at the entire demon clan, there aren't many demon overlords like you who can fight against ancient saints as an immortal demon overlord. You flatter me. It's just a coincidence. Xia Ping said modestly. I don't care if it's a coincidence or you have ulterior motives. Tell me your secret. What method did you use to fight against a near-ancient saint? Did you get some powerful universal secret treasure that gave you such an ability? Leopold stared at Xia Ping with his purple eyes, which seemed to emit a strange gaze. It seemed as if he wanted to see through Xia Ping's body and find out the secret within. He suspected that Wu might have gotten some powerful and mysterious universal secret treasure. That was why he could rise from a native demon to the level of an immortal demon overlord. If he could get such a secret treasure, wouldn't he be able to ascend to the heavens? You're worrying too much. The reason why I could tear apart the space domain of a near-ancient saint was purely because I accidentally swallowed and refined a type of heavenly flame. I fused it into my body and changed and purified my bloodline. This is the power of my bloodline ability. There's no secret treasure. Xia Ping said indifferently. Bullshit, you still dare to lie. Leopold shouted angrily and stared at Xia Ping. If you have the guts, do you dare to let me search your body? I'll carefully check what kind of magic treasure you have on you. If not, then I'll believe you. Leopold, what's the meaning of this? Are you treating Brother Wu as an enemy of the demon clan and trying to extort a confession? Thunder Tiger Race's immortal Saint Bradley shouted angrily. How could this Leopold think of searching Brother Wu's body? He was treating Brother Wu like a criminal. All demon overlords are equal. You're a royal, but you don't have the right to search an immortal demon overlord's body. Who do you think you are? A king of the demon saint temple? Do you need to believe me? So what if you don't believe me? Water Shark Race's immortal demon overlord Heller was also furious. This was an extremely absurd behavior. That's right. So what if Brother Wu has a secret treasure? It's none of your business. Why would he need to be searched by you? You've also obtained a fortuitous encounter, so shouldn't you also hand over your own secret treasure? This is simply absurd. Leopold, don't be too arrogant. Heim City isn't a place where you can make decisions. Blood Wolf Race's immortal demon overlord Jonas sneered. Chapter 2370. Interesting. You're just three good-for-nothings. How dare you talk to me like this? It seems that if I don't show my power, you'll really think that I'm weak and easy to bully. Hearing this, Leopold's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he could not help but emit terrifying killing intent. You. Bradley and the other immortal demon saints felt a chill in their hearts. At this moment they finally calmed down. They suddenly remembered that Leopold was a Starlight Python, a member of the royal family, and a demon saint from the near-ancient era. Even if it couldn't do anything to them in Heimu City, it had plenty of chances to do something to them in the wild and kill them all. In fact, this had happened before. The demon race could be said to be the most disunited race. More often than not, some demon saints would die among their own people. Whoa. Leopold ignored Bradley and stared at Xia Ping. I advise you to know what propriety is. Treasures are innocent, but treasures are the source of trouble. A true universe treasure is not something a little immortal demon saint like you who has no background can possess. If you hand over your treasures to me, I'll guarantee with the reputation of the Starlight Python race that you'll never be able to enjoy wealth for the rest of your life. I can even let you become a servant of the Starlight Python race. This is an honor that countless races yearn for but can't obtain. I hope you can cherish it. Scram. Xia Ping looked at Leopold and sneered. What bullshit Starlight Python race? Do you think you can scare me with just a few words? You're dreaming. Let alone the fact that I don't have a so-called universe treasure, so what if I do? Do you think I'll hand it over with just a few words? Who do you think you are? It's not like I've never seen a near-ancient era demon saint like you. It's not like I haven't fought with you. I've even personally killed some of them. Who do you think you are? How dare you be so insolent in front of me? What? The pupils of Leopold and the other demon saints contracted. They never thought that Wu would be so arrogant and refute them. He did not take them seriously at all. No, not only did he not take them seriously, but he was also slapping them in the face in public. Bradari's heart skipped a beat. Saying these words was basically offending Leopold and the other Starlight Pythons. There was no room for reconciliation at all. What's wrong? You're still not convinced? Xia Ping clasped his hands behind his back and said, So what if you're from the Royal Starlight Python clan of the demon race? Even if you're from the Royal Starlight Python clan, it's not like there aren't any who have fallen. Don't think that your Starlight Python clan can maintain a stable position as the royal clan. Sooner or later, there will be a day when you will decline and be pulled down from the altar by other clans. You will die a tragic death. Bastard, how dare you humiliate my Starlight Python clan? You're courting death. You're courting death. You want our Starlight Python race to fall into decline? You are truly despicable. How dare you curse my Starlight Python clan? Do you know how serious of a crime that is? Kneel down and apologize immediately. Otherwise, I will exterminate your entire clan and all the native monsters around you. I will kill the chicken to scare the monkey. Before Leopold could speak, the dozen or so immortal demon sages behind him could not take it anymore. Their faces turned red and they wanted to immediately attack and beat Xiaoping half to death. Exterminate my 9 generations? If you have the guts, let's have a match right now. Stop wasting time. Xiaoping gave him a sidelong glance, unmoved. The Starlight Pythons were so infuriated that they almost could not control their temper and wanted to rush forward. Boom! However, at this moment, a terrifying aura came from afar. Apparently, a medieval demon sage had returned to Jianghu City and arrived at the Demon Saint Palace. An invisible space-time realm enveloped this area. All the Starlight Pythons, including Leopold, immediately calmed down. Even though this aura was not targeted at them, the invisible space-time realm could still easily suppress all the demon sages. What's wrong? Why are you so tense in the Demon Saint Palace? Do you want to have a duel in Jianghu City and break the rules of Jianghu City? With a swish, a medieval demon sage descended in the air and looked dignified. Elder Zaram. Seeing the arrival of the medieval demon sage, all the Starlight Pythons, Bradley, and the other immortal demon sages were startled. They immediately greeted him respectfully. Obviously, this medieval demon sage was highly respected and was very famous in Jianghu City. Who's this? Xiaoping seized the chance to ask Bradley using his spiritual sense. Crow, you must be respectful to him. He is an elder of our Demon Saint Temple and also one of the top 10 powerful demon saints of the Middle Ages in Jianghu City. He has comprehended the law of time and has a high status. He is usually the most impartial and strict one and is deeply trusted by many demon saints. As long as he gives an order, even if you're from the royal family, you would not be able to stay in Jianghu City anymore. Bradley was afraid that Xiaoping would neglect this elder of the demon temple, so he hurriedly told Xiaoping about him, saying that he was a big shot in Jianghu City. I see. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that this medieval demon sage's chi was very powerful. It seemed to be even more powerful than that of Elder Weiss, the medieval demon that he had met before. Of course, it was not so powerful that he could not resist it. It was just a bit more powerful. Oh, this is a great opportunity. At this moment, Zhang Tai's heart was pounding. If this medieval demon sage was a big shot in Jianghu City, he must have access to the top secrets of Jianghu City. He might know the real reason for the recent changes in Heavenly Demon Tribe. I have to monitor this Zaram. Zhang Tai made up his mind. If Bradley and the other immortal demon sages knew Xiaoping's thoughts, they would definitely be scared to death. How could an immortal demon sage want to monitor the medieval demon sage? Wasn't it like an ant challenging a divine dragon? It was absolutely audacious and reckless. Even if he wanted to die, he would not do it in this way. However, Xiaoping was confident. Although he didn't have any magic equipment, he could mobilize the power of the Book of Karma from hell by virtue of the karma force of the Book of Karma. After that, he attached a strand of the karma force to the medieval demon sage by the power of the Book of Karma. In this way, the latter's every move would be under his control. Facing the mysterious power of karma, even the medieval demon sage could not sense it. This was the difference in the nature of the power. Elder Zaram, you've misunderstood. At this moment, Leopold Skin hurriedly lowered his head and said, in fact, we are very friendly and enthusiastic towards this new immortal demon sage. We just want to have a private spar with it to verify our comprehension of laws. Furthermore, this will be of great benefit to this brother. He might be able to take advantage of this opportunity to comprehend the laws of space and step into the realm of a near-ancient demon sage. He indicated that he did not want to have a conflict with Xiaoping, but merely wanted to have a friendly spar. This was because he did not want to cause any trouble in front of the famous medieval demon sage of Jianghu City. Chapter 2371. Hearing these words, Zaram's look eased a lot as he nodded and said, in this case you'd better watch out. Don't make trouble in front of the sacred Demon Saint Palace. Otherwise nobody can save you. He then stared at Leopold and the other starlight pythons and Xiaoping as a warning. The reason why he warned Zaram was that he couldn't allow these demon saints to break the rules of Heimu City as an elder of the Demon Saint Palace. Besides, he also couldn't allow these demon saints to break the rules of Heimu City. During this period of time, no conflict was allowed among the Demon Saint Palace. Otherwise, nobody could bear the responsibility of ruining the plan of Heimu City, which had lasted hundreds of millions of years. Of course, Zaram, we all know that we will never make trouble in Heimu City. None of us dares to break the rules of Heimu City. Leopold replied immediately as he showed a law-abiding look. Not bad. It's good that you know the stakes. I have something else to deal with. You can leave now. Don't make trouble here. If you make trouble, I'll teach you a lesson. After leaving these words, Zaram flew into the Demon Saint Palace as if he had something important to deal with and didn't want to waste his time on such a trivial matter. Seeing Zaram leave, the other starlight pythons let out a sigh of relief. It was too stressful to face a demon saint who had comprehended the law of time. Even though they had reached the immortal realm, there was still a huge gap between them and the demon saint of the Middle Ages, which couldn't be measured by numbers. If an analogy had to be used, the immortal demon saints were just common soldiers. However, the demon saint of the Middle Ages could be regarded as a general who could rule a region. Humph, you're lucky that Zaram happened to pass by this place. Otherwise you'd be in trouble. You should thank your luck. Before Leopold and the other starlight pythons could say anything, Xiaoping had opened his mouth as if they were lucky. Fuck. Hearing this, Leopold and the other starlight pythons were driven mad as their faces turned red. They should be the ones to say that. Since when did this brat have the right to say that? How could a mere immortal demon sage say that? He was too thick-skinned. They had more than a dozen peak of immortal realm demonic saints. There was even a near-ancient demonic saint who had comprehended space law. No matter how they looked at it, they had the strength to beat up this group of losers. They were lucky. Additionally, this guy was so shameless to say that if Elder Zaram didn't come here, they would be in trouble. How shameless was he to say such a thing? It was the first time they had seen such a monster. Let's go. Let's not bother with this bunch of trash from the royal family. They are a disgrace to the royal family. Talking to them is just a waste of time and air. Xiaoping waved his hand and walked into the Demon Saint Temple with Bradley and the other immortal overlords, whose faces were twitching and speechless. Those starlight pythons were infuriated. However, they were stopped by Leopold. They could only watch the arrogant Xiaoping swaggering into the Demon Saint Temple until Xiaoping's figure disappeared in front of them. Leopold had to stop Elder Zaram. Because Zaram had just left for a short while, if he made a move now, he would definitely arouse the fury of Elder Zaram, which was like slapping the face of a medieval demon sage. That was an earth-shattering thing. No matter how angry they were, they couldn't slap Elder Zaram's face here and break the rules of Heimu City. Otherwise they would all be doomed. They even felt that Wu Jubi had said those words on purpose in order to irritate them and make them lose their senses. Then they would break the rules of Heimu City. Undoubtedly, this bastard Wu Jubi was a sinister and cunning guy. Fuck. I can't stand this bastard for even 1 second. If not Elder Zaram's sudden appearance, I would have long chopped him into pieces. How could he be so arrogant? How dare he say that we are lucky? I didn't realize that this bastard was so thick-skinned. Could it be that this bastard really thinks that he is capable enough to deal with our Starlight Python clan? Kill it. We must kill this damned blazing raven. There has never been a trash race that could flaunt their prowess in front of our Starlight Python tribe and come out unscathed. That's right. Given his words that humiliated our Starlight Pythons, he should be sentenced to death. Nobody can save him. Anyone who tries to save him will die. Die. Those immortal Starlight Pythons gritted their teeth. They had not been so angry for hundreds of millions of years. They couldn't wait to skin this so-called fiery crow alive. They expressed that if Leopold didn't stop them, they would have long torn that fiery crow apart. Don't worry. Leopold sneered, don't fall for that brat's trick. The reason why he said those words was to infuriate us and make us lose our rationality. Then we would start a fight in Heimu City and break the rules here. By then he would pretend to be weak and blame us. Even though our Starlight Pythons are royal families with high status and great power, we can't escape punishment. He had seen through that brat's sinister purpose. My lord, I know that brat is despicable, shameless, and extremely sinister. But can we just watch as he continues to live a carefree and happy life? We can't bear it. All the Starlight Pythons clenched their fists. Don't worry. Leopold's eyes revealed a strand of cold light. He's just a local monster without any background. This brat doesn't have any backing in the Demon Saint Palace. Even if he dies, no Demon Saint would know about it and no Demon Saint would stand up for him. A local monster like him managed to advance to the immortal realm with great difficulty with a little fortuitous encounter. But if he thinks that he can show off in the Demon Saint Palace and look down on the dignity of our royal families, he's dreaming. Of course we can't kill him in Jianghu City. After all, we can't break the rules of Jianghu City. But it's different when we leave Jianghu City. There are no rules in the wild. It indicated that they couldn't kill him in Jianghu City, but they could kill him in the wild. No matter how strict the rules of Jianghu City were, they couldn't control the boundless wild. But what if this brat keeps staying in Jianghu City? Doesn't that mean we won't stand a chance? A starlight python raised its doubt. What's the hurry? It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. So what if we let him live a little longer? We don't lack time. As long as he leaves Jianghu City, he'll die. I don't believe that he won't leave the city for the rest of his life. There will be a good opportunity. Endless killing intent rose in Leopold's heart. He had made Xiaoping a target he must kill. Pythons were one of the most vengeful creatures. As long as someone offended them, they would never forget it. They would always look for opportunities to take revenge. Chapter 2372. 2 hours later. Xiaoping smoothly obtained the token from the Demon Temple and finally had a legal identity. He was no longer an unregistered resident and could freely enter and exit the major cities of the demon race without worrying about being killed as a spy. Congratulations, Brother Wu. You've finally become a member of our Demon Temple. The Thunder Tiger clan's immortal demon sage Bradley congratulated him. Unfortunately, we've offended Leopold this time. According to that guy's vengeful character, I'm afraid he won't let you off. He might take revenge at any time. The Water Shark clan's Heller was a little worried. That's right. Brother Wu, you shouldn't have been so impulsive. As the saying goes, take a step back and you'll see the world. Demon sages with no background like us can't beat those royal demon sages. The Blood Wolf clan's Jonas said helplessly. If we endure, will he let us off? That guy is clearly standing on our heads and won't give up until he achieves his goal. Unless we kowtow and apologize, he won't let us off. Xiaoping said indifferently. This? Hearing this, Bradley and the other demon sages had to admit that Xiaoping was right. Just now, Leopold came aggressively because he was sure that Xiaoping had a mysterious treasure on him. That was why he came to rob him. He was simply unscrupulous. Unless he really handed over all his treasures, there was no way the other party would let him off so easily. Therefore, such a conflict was unavoidable. Whether they surrendered or endured, they couldn't make the other party give up. It was like an ordinary villager encountering bandits. Would the bandits give up if they surrendered? What a joke. The bandits gave up so easily they wouldn't be bandits. For villains, forbearance would only make them want more. Indeed. Now we can only take it one step at a time. As long as we stay in Jianghu City, Leopold and the others can't do anything to us. Bradley and the other immortal demon sages nodded helplessly. Forget it. I haven't found a place to stay in Jianghu City yet. Where should I stay? Xiaoping wanted to find a place to stay in Jianghu City. That's easy. Bradley said, I have a manor in Jianghu City that occupies a large area. You can temporarily stay there as a temporary lodging. Brother Wu, it won't be too late to move out once you have a better understanding of Jianghu City. Then I shall respectfully accept. Xiaoping didn't refuse and directly planned to live in Bradley's manor. There's no need to be so polite. We're all brothers now. This is just a small matter. Bradbury laughed out loud. All of a sudden, Xiaoping's heart raced as he realized that what he had done to Zaram finally worked. Zaram seemed to have entered the deepest part of the Demon Saint Palace, which was the core place. Except for the elders of Jianghu City, no other monsters could enter it. Even human hands and feet couldn't enter it. However, with the power of the Karma Book, he could easily attach to Zaram's body and pry into the secrets of the Demon God Palace. At this moment, inside the Demon Saint Palace, Zaram, the demon sage of the Middle Ages, was familiar with driving. After passing through layers of spacetime restraints and thousands of dimensional spaces, he finally arrived at the deepest part of the Demon Sage Palace and appeared in front of an altar. This sacrificial altar was extremely large, covering tens of thousands of square kilometers. It was engraved with mysterious patterns of universal laws, which seemed to resonate with this spacetime. Tens of thousands of dimensional spaces appeared in the surroundings. Huge energy flowed out of these dimensional spaces and poured into the depths of the sacrificial altar, which was then devoured and absorbed by the sacrificial altar. Over 10 powerful demon sages appeared around the sacrificial altar. All of them had reached the Middle Ancient Realm and had comprehended the law of time. They were giving off the power and chi that could distort the spacetime. These demon sages were covered with powerful spacetime strength. Therefore their original looks couldn't be seen clearly. Most astounding of all was that a primordial heavenly dragon had appeared in the sky above the altar. It shook its head and wagged its tail, and its entire body emitted a golden glow. It was suffused with a divine, powerful and mighty aura that contained boundless dragon might. It was constantly swallowing the energy that flowed out from thousands of dimensions, and it seemed that every time it swallowed, its body would grow a little stronger, and its power would become more tyrannical. Dense nomological patterns appeared in every corner of its body. It seemed that this primordial heavenly dragon itself was the amalgamation of universal laws. It was so powerful that a slight movement of it could shatter the spacetime within thousands of light years. No way. There are so many primordial heavenly dragon talismans. Xiaoping easily saw through this place through Zurum's eyes of karma, which were attached to the Middle Ancient Demon Sage. It was like observing a lower dimensional space from a higher dimensional space. No demon sage could detect anything. He immediately recognized that this primordial heavenly dragon was the amalgamation of primordial heavenly dragon talismans. The interior of the primordial sky dragon contained a dense number of primordial sky dragon talismans. Combined together, there were more than 2,000 of them, nearing 3,000. No, it should be said that apart from the 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, all the other primordial heavenly dragon talismans had appeared in this sacrificial altar. It was simply unimaginable. Back then, the 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were already immensely powerful. Now that more than 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were gathered together, the power was so powerful that it could almost tear through the heavens and earth. If the dozens of primordial heavenly dragon talismans fell into this sacrificial altar, they would instantly form 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, turning into a truly flawless peerless sacred weapon. Opportunity. This is indeed an incomparable opportunity. Xiaoping felt his heart beating intensely. Back then, Titania, the scientist of the Dragon Clan, had used this peerless sacred weapon to tear through the heavens and earth. She was unrivaled among the sages, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. It could be said that the amalgamation of 3,000 talismans represented the power of 3,000 laws. A primordial heavenly dragon ruled over 3,000 laws, and the combat power it could unleash was unparalleled. If not for the many invincible sages joining forces and even using divine artifacts to shatter the primordial heavenly dragon talismans and scatter them across the universe, they probably wouldn't have been able to do a thing to Titania. It was obvious how terrifying the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were at their peak. They could devour the heavens and earth. If he could obtain these 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, he could immediately increase his combat power by dozens of times. Although he seemed to have divine artifact-level samsara brush, book of karma, etc., they were divine artifacts that had been sealed and could not unleash their full power. They were temporarily unable to be compared to a peerless sacred weapon at its peak. Therefore, obtaining the remaining 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans was a great opportunity for him. It could definitely greatly increase his strength. Chapter 2373. Calm down, you must calm down now. Xia Pingan suppressed his excitement. It was almost impossible to snatch the remaining 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans from the Demon Saint Temple in Heimu City. First of all, the demonic temple's interior was filled with layers of restrictions that were very difficult to break through. Secondly, there were countless experts overseeing the demonic temple. Needless to say, there were countless undying saints and near-ancient saints. In the depths of the altar, there were more than 10 demon sages from the Middle Ages. All of them had comprehended the law of time and grasped the spacetime domain. They were extremely powerful. It was probably wishful thinking to snatch the primordial heavenly dragon talisman in front of so many medieval sage demon. Even if they could fight against so many primordial demon sages, the problem was that this was one of the demon race's cities. As long as these demon sages were willing, they could immediately contact the demon race's headquarters and send primordial demon sages or even primordial demon sages to support them. At that time there would be a lot of trouble. Therefore he couldn't act rashly. This matter had to be planned out slowly. However, Why would there be so many primordial heavenly dragon talismans here? Furthermore, there are more than 2,000 of them. How much effort was put into this? Could it be related to the demon's recent schemes? Xia Ping instinctively felt that he had discovered the deepest secrets of Hema City. The recent changes in the demon race must have something to do with these primordial heavenly dragon talismans. After all, the 3,000 primordial sky dragon talismans were scattered across the universe. To gather all of them required an unimaginable amount of effort. The amount of manpower and resources needed would probably be astronomical. Only the demon race, which was rich, powerful, and had a lot of manpower, could do it. If it were him, it would be nearly impossible to collect 3,000 primordial sky dragon talismans from all over the universe. Even if he spent hundreds of millions of years, it would still be difficult. Of course, it was still possible to use the power of the Khanate magic treasure, the Compass of Wishes. The problem was that doing so would greatly consume the power of the Compass of Wishes. He calmed down and followed Berdelli into the manor. At the same time, he immersed his consciousness in the Eye of Karma and continued to observe the group of primordial demon sages. For Xia Ping, who already had 9 doppelgangers, multitasking was a piece of cake. Zaram, you're here. How's the situation outside? Rumor has it that the humans have been trying to gather information about our Hemu city. Have they succeeded? At the sight of the arrival of Zaram, a medieval demon sage asked. Don't worry, those humans are still headless flies. They have no idea what we're planning. Zaram, the medieval demonic sage, burst out into laughter. They're indeed anxious now. They've issued an order in the All Saints Palace of Humans and asked people everywhere for intelligence. It's a pity that they don't know that our demon race's cities are as sturdy as boulders, and that humans can't easily invade them. Of course, there might be human spies and spies among our demon race. The problem is that only a dozen or so elders of Hema City and a few patriarchs of the demon race know about this plan. Apart from them, the other demon saints are completely clueless. No matter how hard the human race racks their brains, they can't figure out what the next step of our plan is. It was extremely pleased because in order to prepare this plan, Hemu City had been planning it for billions of years. With such a long period of time and such a meticulous plan, how could it be leaked at such a crucial moment? Not bad, not bad. It's great that those humans haven't discovered it. Yeah, we've set up an altar here and connected it to the origin of the Thunderbolt continent. This is of utmost importance and must not be leaked. Otherwise we'll definitely be besieged by other races. The immemorial heavenly dragon talisman is a peerless sacred weapon refined by Titania, the mad scientist of the dragon race. It's said that it has the potential to be promoted to an immortal weapon. Even among the many peerless sacred weapons, it can be ranked in the top 10. Each talisman contains the essence of the immemorial heavenly dragon and the origin law of the universe. When 3,000 immemorial heavenly dragon talismans are gathered, they can transform into an immemorial heavenly dragon that contains 3,000 laws and even the bloodline of the ancestral dragon. Indeed, Titania, the scientist of the dragon race, is indeed terrifying. With her talent alone, she could reverse the bloodline of the dragon race and find the origin of the bloodline of the ancestral dragon. If she could really do that, she might be the first legendary figure to break through the unrivaled sage realm and advance to the immortal realm. It's said that in order to reverse the origin and trace the bloodline of the ancestral dragon, these immemorial heavenly dragon talismans have devouring power. They specialize in devouring the origin of worlds to nourish their own bodies. The more worlds they devour, the richer the ancestral dragon bloodline in her. Back then, because she destroyed too many worlds, she nearly shook the origin of the universe. That's why she became the target of everyone and was hunted by the entire universe. These medieval demon sages discussed animatedly. Their words were filled with admiration for Titania. Even though she was a wanted criminal in the universe and was wanted by countless races, they had to admit that she was powerful. She was definitely one of the most terrifying sages in the history of the universe. And even though she was being hunted, she was still not dead and was still at large. I have to say that Titania is an extremely talented monster. The immemorial heavenly dragon talismans are indeed extremely powerful and beyond imagination. They have the power to devour the origin of worlds. A medieval demon sage clenched his fists. Now that we've gathered a large number of immemorial heavenly dragon talismans and condensed them into an immemorial heavenly dragon, we can use the power of the sacrificial altar to communicate with the origin of the Thunder Continent and devour it slowly. Soon we'll be able to nourish this immemorial heavenly dragon's power to an unprecedented level. When that time comes, We'll only need one strike to instantly activate the power of over 2,900 laws. We'll be able to destroy the Thunder City of the human race in the Thunder Continent and kill most of the human sages. I reckon those human sages would never have imagined that they would die such a useless and silent death. A terrifying killing intent emanated from its body. There's actually such a thing. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that the demon race's plan was indeed highly feasible. Using the power of over 2,900 immemorial heavenly dragon talismans, coupled with the devouring of the Thunder Continent's origin energy, to unleash a thunderous strike, even if it couldn't completely destroy the human race's Thunder City, it would be enough to kill most of the human sages. Such an attack would definitely be able to deal a heavy blow to the human race's forces in the Thunder Continent. And after this battle, the demon race would also have an absolute advantage in the Thunder Continent. They could easily expel the other races from the Thunder Continent and become the true overlord of the Thunder Continent. It could be said that the demon race would benefit greatly from this. Just the resources on the Thunder Continent alone would be enough to feed the demon race to their heart's content. Chapter 2374. However, it's a pity that despite our great efforts and countless years, we have only managed to collect about 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. A medieval Fey sage said regretfully, "We're just short of 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans to form 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans and form a peerless sacred artifact. If we had this peerless sacred artifact, destroying the humans' Thunder City in the Thunder Continent would be a piece of cake. At the same time, this Dharma treasure could also greatly enhance the strength of our Fey race." That's right. If it were a perfect primordial heavenly dragon talisman, we wouldn't need to be so careful and slowly absorb the Thunder Continent's origins, afraid of being discovered by other races. Furthermore, the speed at which we devour the origins would be extremely slow. The other primordial demon saint nodded in agreement as well. Although they had collected more than 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans and the power they could produce had reached an astounding level, it was still a far cry from a truly perfect primordial heavenly dragon talisman. The difference between perfection and imperfection was like the distance between heaven and earth. It was precisely because they had not reached perfection that when they circulated more than 2,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, they did not completely refine them. The speed at which they devoured the Thunder Continent's origins was also extremely slow. Furthermore, the more they devoured, the greater the commotion they caused. It was because of this situation that they were worried that the Thunder Continent's origins would be discovered by other races. Therefore, the Fey race caused trouble everywhere in the Thunder Continent, hoping to attract the attention of other races elsewhere. This was a diversionary tactic. Is there no way to find the remaining 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans? A medieval Fey sage asked in a deep voice. There's no way. I previously requested Patriarch to use his divination skills in an attempt to find traces of the remaining primordial heavenly dragon talismans in the River of Destiny. However, the remaining 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans seem to be hidden by some mysterious power. Even with Patriarch's powers, he is unable to pry into the traces of destiny. If he were to forcefully pry, he might even suffer the backlash of destiny laws. A Fey sage said with a grave expression. What? Even Patriarch's powers are unable to find the remaining 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans? It looks like there's more than meets the eye. In fact, Patriarch also believes that an imperfect primordial heavenly dragon talisman is the best. The medieval demon sage Zaram said, "That's because these 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans are the natal artifact of the dragon scientist Titania. Even today, each primordial heavenly dragon talisman might have left her spiritual imprint. If we gather all 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, I'm afraid we'll be noticed by Titania immediately, and that troublesome enemy will come for revenge. She's just a severely injured dragon sage. So what if she's taking revenge? How much power can she unleash? No. Don't underestimate Titania. No matter what, she's a terrifying powerhouse who could escape from so many invincible saints. She's not someone we can underestimate. Primordial of demons, God demon even demon, Saint Talisman's treasure, has said, true. That even though primordial time sage of's full of demons of demon. That's right. Titania is a lunatic. We shouldn't provoke her if we can. If Titania becomes the mortal enemy of our demon race because of this peerless sacred weapon, we would lose more than we gain. The ancient demon saints nodded. Titania's name was like the shadow of a tree. Even though countless eras had passed, the memory of this mad scientist was still fresh in their minds, and they were extremely fearful of her. So what should we do next? Medieval Fey Sage Zaram asked in a deep voice. Continue to carry out the diversion plan. A medieval Fey sage said, these primordial heavenly dragon talismans devour the origin of the Thunderbolt continent. The further it goes, the greater the commotion. If we don't divert the attention of the humans, they will definitely discover something fishy. That's right. We can start a small-scale war and divert the attention of the human sages to the battlefield. That way they won't have the energy to investigate the secrets of our Jianghu city. As long as we can hold on for this period of time and wait for the 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans to accumulate enough power, it will be the decisive battle between our demon race and the human race. Many medieval Fey sages discussed fervently as they emitted a strong killing intent. Don't worry. I'll make the arrangements later. I definitely won't let the humans or the other races discover anything fishy. Hearing that, medieval Fey sage Zaram nodded. Jianghu City, Bradley's Manor. At this moment, Xia Ping's clone was staying in an independent room in the manor. The room was surrounded by restrictive arrays. Any energy that tried to pass through the restrictive arrays would be detected by the owner of the room. I see. This is the demon race and Jianghu City's plan. Xia Ping understood the series of plans of Jianghu City through the eyes of karma attached to Zaram. He was also clear about the various plans of the demon race. Clearly, the demon race's strength had increased greatly after obtaining over 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. If these primordial heavenly dragon talismans devoured enough origin energy, they would immediately be able to unleash destructive power. This would be a fatal threat to the Thunder City of the human race. Additionally, through the eyes of karma, Zhang Tai sensed that the over 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans above the sacrificial altar would soon devour enough energy. That was to say, the demon race would soon launch an attack on the human race. I have to stop the demon race. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a wisp of cold light. As a member of the human race, of course, he couldn't just watch the demon race destroy the Thunder City. That's right. Perhaps this is also a huge opportunity. All of a sudden, Zhang Tai stroked his chin as he thought of a plan. If he leaked this information to the human race and had them launch an attack on the demon race in advance, the unprepared demon race would not pose a great threat to the human race. By then, in order to protect Jianghu City, those medieval Fey Sage Palace would have to leave one after another. After that, the demonic Sage Palace would be in an empty state. By then, he might have a chance to enter and plunder all the primordial heavenly dragon talismans inside the demonic Sage Palace. Of course, this plan might not succeed. By then there might be some medieval Fey sage guarding the demonic Sage Palace. As a result, Zhang Tai wouldn't be able to do that. No matter what, it was a great opportunity. Even if he failed, he could destroy the demon race's plan and save the Thunder City from being destroyed by the demon race. Chapter 2375. Thunder City, the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. I finally succeeded. Xia Ping's main body had been cultivating in the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, continuously nurturing the second clone of the World Tree. Today he finally succeeded. Boom. Immediately, a clone that looked exactly like Xia Ping appeared on the ground. Dense origin source law patterns appeared on the surface of his skin, emitting a powerful aura. His skin and hair were emerald green, full of vitality. It was as if every cell in his body contained countless laws of the world. Fuck, why am I green? Xia Ping looked depressed. He found that his hair seemed to have turned into green weeds. They were lush, as if his head had turned into a boundless grassland that was growing vigorously. However, every single strand of hair on it contained unique world energy as well as life energy. It was extraordinary. It could be said that this clone of the World Tree was extremely powerful, beyond imagination. There was even a vague connection between this clone and the real World Tree. It could use a part of the World Tree's origin source power at any time. Is this the World Tree? Xia Ping closed his eyes and abandoned all other strange emotions. He immersed his mind in the clone of the World Tree. At this moment he seemed to have become an existence like a tree ant. He could easily grasp the various spells of the World Tree. He stood on the ground and seemed to be able to feel the breathing of the earth. He could feel the breathing, thoughts, and even emotions of every plant within a range of billions of kilometers. It was as if he was the ruler of all plants at this moment. From the depths of the earth, Every plant seemed to be surging with emerald green energy. They turned into countless energy lines and madly surged into every corner of his body. They kept increasing his magic power. It seemed that with every breath, he could devour a large amount of plant power and life power to quickly increase his cultivation. I also have some of the spells of the world tree? Xia Ping's heart moved. A large amount of information instantly surged into the depths of his sea of consciousness. This was the information of the spells that came from the depths of his bloodline. It was the inheritance stored in the deepest part of his genes. Spell 1, Spring on Withered Trees. As long as he was willing, he could immediately imbue the world tree's origin source power in his body to promote the growth and maturity of countless plants. He could instantly catalyze the growth of plants within a range of billions of kilometers, ignoring the laws of growth of any plants. In fact, as long as the plant still had a breath left, it could bring the other party back from the brink of death. Moreover, it was not just plants. Even other life forms, energy life forms, flesh life forms, and so on, could use the world tree's origin energy to save them from a near-death crisis. Divine Ability 2. Eye of Wood. This was a unique eye that came from the world tree itself. It was a plant's eye of domination. Once activated, all the plants within the range of the world tree's divine sense could become his eyes. As long as it appeared in the forest, there was no life that could hide from the Eye of Wood. All living things would be exposed before the Eye of Wood. At the same time, the Eye of Wood contained a powerful offensive power. Anyone who was targeted by the Eye of Wood would be turned into a log of wood and their life force would be drained away. Third divine ability, World Touch. This was one of the source powers of the world tree. It could transform into billions of roots of the world tree and easily fuse with countless dimensions. Using these dimensions as a foundation, it could absorb huge amounts of energy and strengthen itself. Moreover, these tentacles of the world tree were formless and invisible. They were formed from the power of the world and the power of spacetime. They could sense the fluctuations of dimensions and fuse with spacetime. Therefore, even ancient sages could not detect the existence of these tentacles. At the same time, the tentacles of the world tree were extremely long and closely related to the range of the main body's divine sense. They could expand to a range of 400 light-years, instantly enveloping all directions. Therefore, this divine ability was extremely powerful. It could easily penetrate countless restrictions and array formations and explore extremely dangerous places. It was also an extremely powerful assassination technique. It could instantly turn the tentacles into something solid and kill the enemy in the void. Yeah, the Golden Crow of Hell's avatar has sent news. It found news of the demon race. So fast? Xia Ping opened his eyes. Before he could carefully comprehend the power of the World Tree avatar, he immediately received a voice transmission from the Golden Crow of Hell's avatar. At that moment, he already knew about the primordial heavenly dragon talisman and the demon race's plan. The avatar and the main body had a strong mental connection that could cross millions of light-years. It was almost impossible to be separated. Therefore, it was very convenient for both parties to transmit information. With a thought, the information could be transmitted back. To a certain extent, it was even more useful than the Universe Virtual Network at certain special moments. After all, it was very difficult to log into the Universe Virtual Network in Jianghu City. Although the demon race could not interfere with the Universe Virtual Network signal, they could detect the signal of logging into the Universe Virtual Network. Once they discovered that someone from the demon race's city was logged into the Universe Virtual Network, they would definitely be surrounded and killed by many demon sages. Among the demon race, logging into the human race's Universe Virtual Network without permission was a serious crime. It seems like this matter cannot be delayed. I have to inform the upper echelons of the human race immediately. Otherwise, if the demon race succeeds, Thunder City will probably be in trouble. At the thought of this, Xia Ping did not hesitate. He immediately logged into the Universe Virtual Network and submitted the information, indicating that he had completed the mission. Rumble. The submission of the mission seemed to have attracted the attention of the upper echelons of the human race, especially the sages of Thunder City. What? Someone actually completed the mission and found out the reason for the demon race's recent strange actions in Jianghu City? Is this for real? Who exactly is it? I think he's called Feng Du. He's an immortal sage who just came to Thunder City. It seems very familiar, as if I've heard of it somewhere before. Forget it, let him come and participate in the Thunder City meeting immediately. Let's see what that kid knows. Indeed, regardless of whether it's true or not, let him come and tell us what exactly is going on. The sages of the Middle Ages discussed spiritedly. Recently, they had been having a headache because of the demon race's movements. They clearly knew that the other party might be plotting something big, but they did not know what exactly it was. Now that someone actually completed the mission of gathering information about the demon race, how could they sit still? Dean, at this moment, a mechanical voice entered Xia Ping's sea of consciousness through the absolute beginning chip. Thunder City Lord Purple Thunder Sage invites you to enter the virtual conference room. Do you accept? Accept. Xia Ping nodded and immediately clicked, accept. With a whoosh, in the next second, his figure was pulled into a universe virtual network room. Chapter 2376. Universe Virtual Network, a meeting room. Xia Ping's silhouette appeared in the meeting room. There were a dozen silhouettes in the seats. They were all the upper echelons of Thunder City. They were all at least in the Middle Ancient realm. Even though this was the virtual network, one could still feel the powerful spacetime energy from their auras. It was as though the moment they moved, the mountains would crumble. Purple Thunder Saint. Xia Ping greeted a middle-aged man in the conference center. The man was very tall and had short purple hair. His body exuded the aura of the law of thunder, and there seemed to be an unfathomable law pattern between his eyebrows. It contained the endless aura of the universe origin, and it was unfathomable. Fengdu Saint. Seeing Xia Ping arrive, Purple Thunder Saint immediately said, I heard that you found information about the monster race. I wonder if this information is true? How true is it and what is this information about? He asked impatiently. The other saints also stared at Xia Ping. They were all very concerned about this matter. This information is very important. I need to ensure that there are no spies here who will leak the information. Can you guarantee this? Xia Ping didn't reply. Instead, he looked at Purple Thunder Saint seriously. Fengdu, what do you mean by that? Do you think that there might be spies from the monster race among us? Hearing this, a saint scolded loudly. He stared at Xia Ping with an unfriendly expression. He felt that these words were the most despicable accusation and the greatest insult to them. Hee. Xia Ping laughed. He had no intention of replying. Anyway, in the universe virtual network, no matter how strong these saints were, they wouldn't be able to hurt him. The other saints didn't speak. Their eyes flickered. No one knew what they were thinking. He my ass. If you have the guts, say it again. The saint roared in rage. He was getting more and more frustrated. He looked at Xia Ping with an unfriendly gaze. A mere undying saint actually dared to look down on them. Enough. This matter is very important. It's normal for Fengdu Saint to be cautious. At this moment, Purple Thunder Saint said, How about this? All of you leave. Just me and the Vice City Lord Rain listening saint will be enough. What? The expressions of the surrounding saints changed. They didn't expect the City Lord Purple Thunder Saint to actually listen to Fengdu. However, this was an order from the City Lord. He was also the highest official of Thunder City. They couldn't do anything about such an order. With a swoosh, the figures of the Middle Ancient Sages immediately disappeared from the conference room, leaving only Xia Ping, the Purple Thunder Sage, and the Rain Listener Sage. Now that there are only 3 people left in this conference room, I believe you can tell them the information already. The Purple Thunder Sage looked at Xia Ping. That's right. If this information is leaked, it means that one of you is a demon spy. Xia Ping nodded. When the Purple Thunder Sage and the Rain Listener Sage heard this, their faces turned black. This guy didn't even trust the two of them. They were speechless and didn't know what to say. Don't worry, we're all top echelons of the human clan. We're all loyal and devoted. We won't betray the interests of the human clan. This won't do us any good. The Rain Listener Saint said seriously. Alright, in short, I can only trust you guys now. Xia Ping waved his hand and told them about the primordial heavenly dragon talisman, as well as the demon's plot. I see. After listening, the Purple Thunder Sage's eyes lit up. No wonder I always felt that there was something wrong with the source of the Thunder mainland. From time to time, it would cause strong earthquakes in the Thunder mainland. Previously, I thought it might be caused by a battle between some sages. I didn't expect it to be the primordial heavenly dragon talisman devouring the source of the Thunder mainland. If that group of demon race really succeeds and devours enough source energy, then they will be able to tear apart our Thunder City's defense system and completely destroy our human race's strength. We will no longer be able to compete with the demon race on the Thunder continent. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. If this information wasn't divulged by Fengdu, the Thunder City would be in danger. Perhaps even he, the City Lord of the Thunder City, would die under the attack of the demons. After all, this information was too shocking and unbelievable. Even if he racked his brains, he would never have imagined that the demons would spend billions of years to collect more than 2,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. This must be one of the trump cards of the demons. Fengdu Sage, this information should be top secret information of the demons. Apart from some of the higher-ups, no one else would know. The Rain Listener Sage looked at Xia Ping with burning eyes. Previously, we also sent many intelligence experts and even used spies hidden in the demons, but we couldn't find any information. How do you know this? He was very curious about the source of Xia Ping's information. This was because even their Thunder City's intelligence system couldn't find any information, but this guy could. It was really unbelievable. This is my secret. There's no reason for me to tell you. Xia Ping said indifferently, this is roughly what the information is like. As for what happens next, it has nothing to do with me. If this information is leaked and the demons find out, it will be your fault. The Rain Listener Saint was infuriated. This guy was really arrogant. The operation had not even begun, but he had already started to shift the blame to them. He even wanted to make them the scapegoat. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. I still have something to do. Xia Ping didn't continue to pay attention to him. After saying goodbye, he went offline. Damn this guy, how can he be so arrogant and look down on everyone? The Rain Listener Sage's face was extremely black. It was as if he was holding a breath in his chest and couldn't let it out. Ahem, capable people are always a little arrogant, Yizichin said. The Purple Thunder Sage smiled. However, this is not the key. The key is how we should face the demon's next plan. This is the most important thing. Hearing this, the Rain Listener Sage's face turned serious. This is indeed a matter of life and death. If we don't destroy the demon's plan as soon as possible, our Thunder City will be finished. Fortunately, this information was sent in time. Otherwise, we would be dead. At this moment, he felt a little lucky. Fortunately, there were countless capable people in the human race who could obtain this crucial information. Otherwise, if it was any later, who knew how many of them would have died? The demons want this plan to succeed, but we won't give them this chance. We must definitely not let their plan succeed. We must immediately launch a war and catch them off guard. The Purple Thunder Sage's eyes emitted dense killing intent. Chapter 2377. Start a war? This is no small matter. We need to report this to the upper echelons of the human race and let the elders review it. The Rain Listener Saint narrowed his eyes. Starting a war required the approval of the upper echelons of the human race and a report had to be made. After all, every time there was a race war, it required the full cooperation of the entire human race, which consumed a lot of manpower and resources. During the war, it was unknown how many people would die. It could be said that a slight change in one part would affect the whole body. It had been many years since such a large-scale war had happened. So be it. This is nothing. The Purple Thunder Saint said coldly, the demon race has already decided to destroy the Thunder City. Why do we still need to give them face? We need to thoroughly beat the demon race so that they know what is called propriety. Previously, Fengdu seemed to be very distrustful of the Thunder City Saint. Could it be that he discovered something wrong with the Thunder City? Could there be a demon race spy? The Rain Listener Saint thought of this. There must be a spy. Otherwise, why did we not receive any news of such a huge matter? It must be a traitor who helped to cover it up. After this war ends, we need to clean up the traitor. We cannot let this group of traitors continue to live and become the parasites of the human race. The Purple Thunder Saint clenched his fist. But when should we start the war? The Rain Listener Saint asked. A week. We need at least a week to mobilize all the manpower and resources. I believe that the demon race will not be able to completely prepare in such a short period of time. We can completely catch them off guard. The Purple Thunder Saint thought about it and immediately made a decision. But to prevent the spy from becoming suspicious, the mission given by the Fengdu Saint can't be considered completed. Otherwise, it will definitely alert the enemy and ruin our operation. The Rain Listener Saint suddenly thought of this. Yes, you're right. I almost did something stupid. You are smart and cautious. Otherwise, it would have been bad. The Purple Thunder Saint instantly felt a little lucky. If he hastily completed Xia Ping's mission, wouldn't it be telling the demon race spy that he already knew about Heimu City? If that happened, Heimu City might be desperate and launch an attack on the Thunder City ahead of time, causing the Thunder City to suffer heavy losses. However, if the mission was not completed, the spies would also be suspicious and would not know what had happened. Furthermore, not only did we fail to complete the mission, but we also had to spread rumors that the Saint of Fengdu was up to no good. He gave false information in an attempt to bluff his way through and obtain the reward. The Rain Listener Saint narrowed his eyes. At the same time, we have to arrange a few trusted subordinates to pretend to have completed the mission and say that they know the secret of Heimu City, but the secret is fake. If such news were to spread, I believe that even if the spy knew something, he would be confused and would not be able to make an effective judgment. This would paralyze the nerves of the demons. However, this way we might have temporarily wronged the Fengdu sage. The Purple Thunder Saint said in a deep voice. It's okay. Talk to him in detail and give him more rewards after the matter is over. I believe he knows the importance of keeping this matter confidential. Ein Listener Saint smiled. Yes, that's the only way. The Purple Thunder Saint nodded. In a secret residence in Thunder City. A Middle Ancient Saint's expression was extremely ugly and solemn. His body emitted an oppressive aura. With a whoosh, a black shadow emerged from the depths of the shadows. What's going on? Why did you suddenly inform me? Don't you know how dangerous it is for me to appear in the human race's Thunder City? If I am discovered by the humans, I will definitely die without a burial site. A black shadow complained. Shut up. Do you think I would inform you if there was nothing important? The Middle Ancient Saint said coldly, Today I received a piece of news. An undying saint seemed to have found some important information about Heimu City. Unfortunately, that fella seemed to be suspicious of something and chased away most of the Middle Ancient Saints. Only the City Lord Purple Thunder Saint and the Deputy City Lord Rain Listener Saint remained. What? There's such a thing? Didn't they say that the human race's intelligence system was unable to find this information? A mere undying saint was able to find this information? What kind of joke is this? Is that fella boasting? The Black Shadow was shocked. If the Heimu City's plan was really discovered by the human race, it would be disastrous. Perhaps their billions of years of planning would be for naught. The meeting seems to have ended. However, the Fengdu Saint's mission hasn't been displayed. Could it be that the fella's information is fake? The Middle Ancient Saint noticed that the meeting had ended. However, the Fengdu Saint's mission didn't display that it had been completed. Moreover, the information-gathering mission was still there. Might not be fake. Could be a trap. The Black Shadow frowned. The problem is that Heimu City's information is sealed so tightly that even the human intelligence system can't penetrate. How did that puny undying saint find out? Saying that the fella's information is fake and that he's trying to obtain a reward isn't impossible. The Middle Ancient Saint still didn't believe that a mere rogue cultivator's information system could be stronger than the human race's intelligence system. If the demon race's information was so easily leaked, they would have been infiltrated by the human race long ago. We still have to be cautious. If we can capture that Fengdu Saint and interrogate him, we might know if the fella's information is real or fake. The Black Shadow was filled with killing intent. How do we capture him? Stop dreaming. This is Thunder City. There's the universe virtual network everywhere. Even the slightest movement would be known by the City Lord. Don't you dare cause trouble here. It doesn't matter if you die, but don't drag me down. The Middle Ancient Saint said solemnly. He knew how tight the human race's internal security was. There were cameras everywhere. Whoever dared to cause trouble within the city would definitely die. Of course, I'm just saying. I won't do such a suicidal thing. The Black Shadow laughed. However, what you said isn't without reason. Anyway, we have to constantly pay attention to this matter. Otherwise, it will spoil the billions of years of plans of the demon race. Such a thing must not be allowed. The Middle Ancient Saint's eyes gleamed coldly. It's fine if Fengdu stays in Thunder City. However, if he dares to leave Thunder City during this period of time, it will be his death date. His body emitted waves of cold intent. You're right. During this period of time, I will also pay attention to the intelligence system of Thunder City. I want to see if the humans have really discovered anything. No matter what traces there are, I will find them. The Black Shadow finished speaking. With a so, he disappeared from where he was. He seemed to have merged into the void without a sound. Even the Middle Ancient Saint couldn't detect him. Chapter 2378. 3 days later. Be it the Thunder City or Heimu City, both were calm and peaceful as if nothing had happened. Some of the monster race spies in the Thunder City heaved a sigh of relief. They felt that the human race had not discovered anything, otherwise, it would not be so peaceful. At this time, Xiaoping had finally raised the strength of his second clone, the World Tree clone, to the pinnacle of the sempiternal realm. At the same time, he had also gained a thorough understanding of the clone's mystique and was able to use it freely. It seems like the human race will attack the monster race soon. I need to make preparations in advance. Xiaoping opened his eyes. Although he did not know when the human race would attack Heimu City, it should not take too long. After all, the longer it took, the more disadvantageous it would be for the human race. Therefore, he felt that the war would probably happen in the next few days. Even if it was delayed, it would not be too late. If I want to fish in troubled waters in Heimu City and seize the opportunity to obtain all the ancient heavenly dragon talismans, it is not enough to rely on the Golden Crow of Hell clone. Perhaps I need to send the World Tree clone over to have a greater chance of success. He touched his chin. If the Golden Crow of Hell clone were to stay in Heimu City, it would probably be difficult for it to break through the defenses of the Sacred Beast Temple in Heimu City. Moreover, if it encountered any danger, a clone would not be able to withstand it. However, if the World Tree clone were to arrive in Heimu City, the strength of the World Tree clone would definitely be of great help. In particular, the various mystiques of the World Tree clone were definitely beyond the imagination of the Sacred Beast. For example, the mystique of the World Tree clone, the touch of the world, could instantly cover an area of 400 light-years. This could easily cover the entire Heimu City. This way, no matter what happened in Heimu City, it would not be able to hide from its eyes. It would also have the absolute initiative. If the situation changed, it could act at any time. Alright, then I will send the World Tree clone to Heimu City. Xiaoping immediately made a decision. However, before that, it might need the Golden Crow of Hell clone to leave Heimu City. Then the two clones would merge and become one. This way, it would be possible to hide from the Eye of Doomsday in Heimu City. Otherwise, the appearance of the World Tree's clone in Heimu City might be noticed by the demon sages. Whoosh. Thinking of this, with a thought, the World Tree doppelganger immediately turned into a young man. His skin was covered with emerald green patterns of the law, and he disappeared from the spot, leaving Thunder City. At the same time, the clone of the Golden Crow of Hell left Heimu City as well. The two of them planned to meet up in a hidden mountain range and merge into one. At this moment, the news of the Golden Crow of Hell's clone leaving Heimu City was immediately discovered by the demons monitoring the surroundings. They immediately returned to report the news. A manor in Heimu City. This was the home of the Starlight Python Leopold. What did you say? That damned crow actually left Heimu City and ventured out to search for treasures? Is this news true? Leopold, the ancient demon saint, couldn't help but widen his eyes in excitement when he heard the news from his subordinates. A look of disbelief appeared in its eyes. It had never imagined that Crow would dare to leave Heimu City at this time. This was simply unimaginable. Under normal circumstances, those who offended him would have to stay in Heimu City to cultivate in seclusion for at least a dozen years. They would only leave Heimu City after he had almost forgotten about this matter. After all the demons in Heimu City knew about Leopold's reputation and terror. Lord Leopold, this news of mine is absolutely true. I witnessed it with my own eyes. I watched him leave Heimu City, and that's why I came back to report. The subordinate swore to the sky that everything he said was true. He had been keeping an eye on Xiaoping and had never let his guard down. This brat is really arrogant. He clearly knows that he has offended me, but he's not afraid at all. It's only been a few days and he dares to leave Heimu City. Is he really not afraid of death? Or does he have some powerful trump card that even an ancient demon saint like me doesn't care? The ancient demon Saint Leopold's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. He knew that Crow had left so decisively, which made him a little unhappy. Such an action was simply looking down on the Starlight Python clan, and Crow was looking down on Leopold's ferocity. Lord, don't stoop to his level. That Crow is a native demon. He has never come into contact with demons of the demon race. He's used to acting like a tyrant in the countryside. He doesn't know how powerful and terrifying our Starlight Python clan is. An immortal Starlight Python sneered. It's precisely because of this that this brat is so unscrupulous. He thinks that what we said is just for show. He doesn't take it seriously at all. That's right. Another immortal Starlight Python nodded in agreement. As the saying goes, the ignorant are fearless. This Crow is such a demon. It's not that this brat is courageous, but that he has no knowledge. He's like a frog at the bottom of a well. The strength of our Starlight Python clan is not something this brat can imagine. Lord, you're worried that this brat might have some trump card, but I don't think there's any need to worry. This brat definitely has a trump card, But who doesn't have one or two trump cards in this day and age? Even if this brat is powerful, can he be compared to an ancient demon saint like Lord Leopold? No matter how hard he tries, he can't escape from Lord Leopold's palm. It was dismissive of Xia Ping as it thought that he was just a countryside demon. Even if he had one or two trump cards, he couldn't pose any threat to them. Not bad. You're right. Hearing this, the ancient demon Saint Leopold was very satisfied. It had the same thought. It was just an immortal demon saint, a native demon with no background at all. Even if he was powerful, how powerful could he be? Could he be more powerful than an ancient demon saint who was born in a royal family and had comprehended the law of space? This crow humiliated me in various ways. He even insulted me in public. That's unforgivable. The ancient demon Saint Leopold said with a strong killing intent. If Lord Zaram didn't arrive at that time, this guy would have died thousands of times. How could he be allowed to live for so many days? Let's go and catch up with him. This time I'm going to kill this crow in the wild. Let's see if this guy dares to talk to me in such an arrogant manner. I want all the demons in Jianghu City to know the outcome of offending me. Yes, Lord Leopold. The group of subordinates shouted at the same time. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the blink of an eye, the ancient demon Saint Leopold left his manor with over 10 immortal demon saints and quickly left Jianghu City. Chapter 2379. Thunder Continent, a mountain range. Swoosh. Xia Ping's golden crow of hell clone and the world tree clone flew all the way and finally converged in a valley. Because these two clones were of the same origin, they had the same origin energy, so they could easily fuse together and separate. However, he had a strange feeling as if he was looking at two identical clones. It was as if he was looking at a mirror. However, this feeling only lasted for a moment. Fuse. Without hesitation, Xia Ping made a hand seal with both hands. Immediately, the two clones turned into liquid state and fused with each other, forming a new clone. This clone shared the power of the world tree and the golden crow of hell. You're finally here? At this moment, Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and turned to look at the void in the distance. With his divine sense, he immediately discovered over a dozen powerful auras that were filled with malice flying over from afar. Clearly, this group of people with bad intentions were Leopold and the other demon overlords. In fact, he had been able to sense the auras of these demon overlords since he left Jianghu City. However, in order to meet up with the World Tree clone as soon as possible, he didn't bother with them for the time being. He even sped up in an attempt to get rid of the group of starlight pythons. However, he didn't expect these guys to be so persistent and chase after him. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the blink of an eye, Leopold and the other starlight pythons tore through the void and arrived at the valley. They unscrupulously released their powerful demon overlord auras, distorting the void within several light years to show off their power. Crow, how have you been? You didn't expect us to meet so soon in the wild, right? Without Lord Zaram to protect you this time, let's see how you can escape. Leopold laughed out loud as if he had finally caught Xia Ping. At this moment he was in a very good mood, like a cat catching a mouse. He had the pleasure of playing with a weak enemy. The other 10-odd immortal demon sages immediately spread out and appeared in every corner. They surrounded Xia Ping, not giving him any room to escape. A playful look appeared on their faces. Escape? Do I need to escape to deal with you guys? That's ridiculous. If the ancient demon overlord hadn't suddenly appeared, you would have died many times. You can't even tell the difference in strength. Are you trying to make me laugh to death? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. What the hell are you laughing at? Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to Lord Leopold like that? If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Before Leopold could say anything, an immortal demon sage beside him became angry. As the saying went, if the master was humiliated, the servant would die. How could it tolerate such humiliation from Wu? Slapping Leopold's face was equivalent to slapping its face. As soon as it finished speaking, it instantly moved, transforming into a giant python that was thousands of miles long. Countless starlight spots appeared on its snakeskin, emitting a tyrannical star aura and a fierce aura. Whoosh! It pounced towards Xia Ping with its mouth wide open. It was incomparably ferocious, as if it could even swallow a planet. But it was at this moment that Xia Ping made his move. He took a step forward and punched out. In an instant, this punch shook the heavens and the earth, caused the stars to fall, and twisted the universe and shook time and space. It was as if the energy of heaven and earth within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers was boiling and forming a vortex. Dong. This punch was incomparably ferocious. In an instant, it bombarded the body of the immortal starlight python. In an instant, the huge body of the immortal starlight python was smashed into pieces and turned into a mass of meat paste. It basically couldn't even block it. This was a destructive force. Ah! The immortal starlight python let out a shrill scream and was smashed into pieces on the spot. Even its soul was severely injured. Impossible. The other immortal starlight pythons widened their eyes and their pupils constricted. They simply couldn't believe it. The dignified immortal demon sage, which was also a famous royal starlight python of the demon race, couldn't withstand a punch from this guy and was instantly smashed into pieces. What kind of terrifying force did this punch contain? Damn bastard, you're courting death. Leopold, the ancient demon sage, shouted angrily. His eyes were wide open. Seeing that his subordinate was seriously injured, he couldn't stand the arrogance of this guy in front of him. Boom. In an instant, the space domain on his body spread out for 5 light years. At this moment, it was as if the whole world was covered by countless stars. Billions of starlight spots appeared everywhere. At the same time, these stars emitted powerful star power. The void seemed to have condensed into a terrifying gravity, which made the creatures in this star domain feel great pressure and almost couldn't move. He wanted to use his star domain to crush this guy into meat paste in an instant. Supernatural power, touch of the world. Xia Ping was unmoved. He activated the supreme supernatural power of the world tree in his body. Whooshed in an instant, with his body as the center, billions of roots of the world tree appeared within a radius of 400 light years. It was like a man-eating flower in full bloom. These roots of the world tree were also extremely thick. Each of them was hundreds of light years long. They were like primordial heavenly dragons. Dense nomological origin patterns appeared on them. What? Leopold suddenly felt endless pressure. This was because the world tree had completely bloomed. It had reached 400 light years, far exceeding his space domain. This was like a small house that was barely able to accommodate a stone giant that was more than 10 meters tall. It was as if the house was about to explode. He felt the same feeling in his space domain. It felt as if his body and soul were about to explode. He couldn't control this guy in front of him at all. Kill? Xia Ping waved his hand lightly. The world tree's billions of roots danced like primordial pythons. They also seemed like primordial dragons. They also seemed like god-slaying spears. Dong. The dozen or so sempiternal realm starlight pythons didn't know what was happening. Their bodies were instantly pierced by the roots. Their chests exploded and blood spurted out like there was no tomorrow. They all let out miserable screams. Even Leopold, who was an ancient demon saint, couldn't withstand it. Even though he was hiding in the depths of the dimension, the world tree's roots ignored all spatial barriers and directly reached his body. With a loud boom, Leopold was instantly pierced through. His body was riddled with holes and his blood flowed like a river. Intense pain came from his body. It felt as if every nerve in his body was being pricked. He had never been in such a miserable state in his life. Everyone, don't be afraid of him. Fight him to the death. We have undying bodies and our unkillable existences. He can't do anything to us. An undying starlight python roared angrily. Even though his chest was pierced by the world tree's roots and he was dripping with blood, he was still extremely valiant. It seemed as if this kind of injury had stimulated the starlight python's ferocious nature. Chapter 2380. Swoosh. Before the immortal starlight python could finish speaking, Xia Ping flicked his finger and a wisp of dark golden infernal golden crow flame shot out and instantly pierced the immortal starlight python's forehead. This. The immortal starlight python was instantly dumbfounded because the speed of the attack was too fast. Even with its dynamic vision and divine sense, it could only perceive a dark golden light flashing past. It was like a meteor in the sky, flashing and disappearing. In the next second, when the dark golden light disappeared, it sensed that its forehead had been easily pierced through. Moreover, this wisp of flame was filled with a destructive aura. It was like maggots attached to bones, spreading to the depths of its soul. With a loud boom, its huge body fell to the ground, creating a huge crack. All the gravel, rocks, and even the mountains were shattered into pieces. Its soul was immediately destroyed. It was killed just like that by Xia Ping's hands. Impossible, I don't believe it. What kind of attack is that? How could it kill an immortal demon sage in one strike? What kind of monster are you? What kind of power is that? Even an immortal demon sage couldn't resist it? The surrounding immortal starlight pythons, including Leopold, were completely dumbfounded. They couldn't believe their eyes. That was a peak immortal demon sage with an immortal body. However, with just a single strike he had actually been killed, and even his soul had been completely obliterated. Even if a beast saint from ancient times wanted to kill a beast saint at the peak of immortal realm, it couldn't be that easy. However, such an unbelievable scene had happened in front of them. You can ask King Yama about this question after you die. Perhaps he can answer you. Xia Ping stood in the void, exuding endless killing intent. He had no obligation to explain anything to these demon sages. Since they were enemies, there was only one answer, and that was to kill them. Retreat, retreat quickly. This crow is too terrifying. Even Lord Leopold isn't a match for him. We can't continue fighting. Otherwise we will definitely die. Many of us will be injured or killed. Damn crow, just you wait. The Starlight Python tribe won't let you go. You won't have a good time. One by one, the undying Starlight Pythons started retreating. They were both shocked and furious. Although they could not kill Crow, Crow could easily kill them. But this way there was no way to fight this battle at all. If they continued to fight, they would only suffer heavy losses, so they immediately thought of retreating. There was no need to stay here to die. Trying to escape? Did you ask me? However, before these immortal Starlight Pythons could move, Xia Ping lightly flicked his finger, and a terrifying infernal golden crow flame surged out of his body. In an instant, the infernal golden crow flame turned into thousands of flowing lights. Each stream of light contained a powerful law power. Before these immortal Starlight Pythons could even take a step forward, the infernal golden crow's flame condensed into a dark golden light and pierced through their skulls, leaving thousands of holes in them. At the same time, the power of the golden crow inferno exploded in their bodies, instantly burning their souls. Their eyes widened as if they couldn't believe that they had died just like that. These immortal Starlight Pythons were all dead, not a single one alive. Their massive bodies were like mountains as they fell from the sky, smashing out massive craters. The surrounding air was filled with a thick smell of blood, as if the valley had turned into a sea of blood. Damn it! The demonic Saint Leopold was both shocked and angry. His eyes widened as he watched his elite subordinates die one by one. However, he could do nothing. There was nothing he could do. There was nothing he could do. Leopold, it's your turn. Go down and accompany your subordinates. Xia Ping stood in the void with his hands behind his back, looking at Leopold. How dare you? Leopold shouted angrily. I am a direct descendant of the Starlight Python royal clan. I have a high status and am one of the successors of the Starlight Python clan. If you dare to kill me, the entire Starlight Python clan will be your enemy. There will be no place for you in the Demon Clan's territory. If you dare to touch a hair of mine, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. It tried to use its background to intimidate this lawless fellow with a stern voice and a stern countenance. It's none of my business. If you have the guts, ask your Starlight Python old ancestor to bite me. Xia Ping didn't waste any time. He punched the void, condensing the power of the Golden Crow Inferno. It was as if a sun had risen from his back. Endless heat and light bloomed in the surroundings, piercing through the void and burning everything. With a bang, before the ancient demon Saint Leopold could react, his head was instantly blown up and turned into a mass of minced meat. Blood sprayed out as if it was free. The infernal golden crow's flames burned its soul. In just a breath's time, the soul let out a shrill scream in the flames and died in unbearable pain. Ancient demon Saint Leopold was dead. At this point, all the Starlight Pythons that came to kill Xia Ping had been slaughtered. These are all good treasures. I can't waste them. Xia Ping waved his hand and stored all the Starlight Python's corpses in his space ring. After all, every inch of flesh and blood of an immortal demon body contained a huge amount of energy, like the essence of heaven and earth. It was a pity that his World Tree clone couldn't devour the corpses of these demon sages to condense the immortal fruit and space fruit. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a problem for him to devour all the flesh and blood. He could only regret that even though his clone had inherited the bloodline of the World Tree, it didn't have 100% of the World Tree's power. It only had a part of it. However, just a part of its power was enough to make all living beings in the world jealous. Alright, it's time to go back. Xia Ping's divine senses spread out to a radius of 400 light-years. He sensed that there seemed to be many sages rushing over from the void in the distance. His killing of Leopold and the other demon sages should have caused a huge commotion between heaven and earth. Therefore, such a battle also attracted the attention of many nearby sages. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, it was not suitable for him to continue staying here. Swoosh. In the next second, Xia Ping's figure flashed, and a pair of dark golden wings grew on his back. The wings easily merged with the void, flapping continuously as he quickly returned to Heimu City. It was very easy for him to return to Heimu City. After all, he had already obtained the Demon Sacred Temple's token. He could be considered a member of the demon race, so the interrogation would not be very strict. Therefore, he returned to Heimu City without any trouble, without any demon race sage making things difficult for him. Chapter 2381. A few days later, in a manor in Heimu City. Xia Ping returned to Heimu City, safe and sound. Brother Wu, are you alright? Why did you suddenly leave Heimu City? I heard that Leopold was looking for you everywhere, Broderie immediately asked after returning to the manor. I'm fine. I just wanted to go out and relax. Xia Ping said carelessly. Relax. Hearing this, the corner of Broderie's mouth twitched. Just how bold is this guy? He knows that a demon saint from ancient times is staring at him and wants his life, but he still wants to go out of the city to relax. He didn't know what to say about this suicidal behavior. But you look fine. You didn't meet Leopold and the others when you left the city, right? Broderie asked. I didn't. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. It's good that you didn't meet him. Remember not to casually leave the city. Leopold is a very cruel and vengeful person. He won't show any mercy to you. Broderie nodded. He didn't doubt Xia Ping's words. If he really did meet Leopold, he wouldn't be able to come back unscathed. Even if he didn't die, he would probably lose a layer of skin. Xia Ping smiled and didn't say anything. If Broderie knew that Leopold was killed by him, he would probably be so scared that his eyes would pop out. After talking with Broderie, he returned to his room. Boom! Xia Ping sat on the ground and immediately used the magical ability of the World Tree, Touch of the World. Instantly, hundreds of millions of roots of the World Tree grew from his body and penetrated in all directions, covering a distance of 400 light-years in an instant. Even the entire Heimu City wasn't as big as 400 light-years. It could be said that this coverage was far beyond the range that Heimu City could accommodate. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The roots of the World Tree extended in all directions and easily crossed the countless restrictive formations of Heimu City, as if they were independent of the dimension. No demon saint could detect the existence of the touch of the world. Even the various restrictive formations of Heimu City were not touched. With the help of the hundreds of millions of roots of the World Tree, Xia Ping seemed to have hundreds of millions of eyes that penetrated every corner of Heimu City. This is the Demon Saint Temple? With a thought, Xia Ping sent the tentacles of the world into the demonic temple in Heim City. The demonic Saint Temple, which was originally heavily guarded with all kinds of spacetime formations, was now invaded by the roots of the World Tree, as if it had entered an uninhabited land. As expected of the sacred demon temple of Heimu City, the most tightly guarded place in the entire city. It is indeed extraordinary. Xia Ping could sense that there were a total of 18,000 spacetime formations set up in the depths of the Demon Saint Temple. Once an enemy invaded, they could instantly stop the spacetime here, and all the enemies would fall into a state of time standstill. At that time, the enemy would be the monkey in Tathagata Buddha's hand, with nowhere to hide. He was also glad that he did not act rashly. Otherwise, if he had rashly entered the Demon Saint Temple, he would have definitely died. Furthermore, there were powerful near-primordial demon saints hidden in every corner of the Demon Saint Temple. There were even primordial demon saints at the key points of the formation. Basically, the high-end combat power of Heimu City had appeared in this place. It seems like I have to wait for the right time if I want to snatch these primordial heavenly dragon talismans. If I act rashly now, I will definitely be killed. Xia Ping touched his chin. Although the roots of the World Tree on his body were extremely hidden, and even the primordial demon saints could not detect them with their spacetime domain, they were still in a state of nothingness. If the roots of the World Tree solidified and turned from nothingness to reality, the primordial demon saints would immediately notice something fishy. By then he would probably be surrounded and beaten up by a group of primordial demon saints. Therefore he was not anxious at all, and was waiting for the right time to come. At the same time, Xia Ping's main body was also cultivating peacefully in Thunder City, slowly nurturing the third doppelganger. A few days later, in the Thunder City City Lord residence, the City Lord Purple Thunder Sage and the Deputy City Lord Rain Listening Sage were gathered here with solemn expressions. The time has finally come. The Purple Thunder Sage's eyes lit up. These few days, I have secretly returned to the headquarters to discuss this matter with the patriarchs. They also know the seriousness of this matter, and promise to give us great support. Great support? Are we going to send an primordial demon saint over? The rain-listening sage could not help but ask. How is that possible? The purple thunder sage sneered. What kind of people are the primordial demon saints? They are considered important, and they are the big shots that guard a region. Every primordial demon saint has their own missions to carry out, and they will not be dispatched easily. Why would they come to a small place like the Thundersea region? Moreover, if an primordial demon saint were to make a move, it would definitely not be hidden from the demon race. By then, the demon race might also send an primordial demon saint over, and things would get out of hand. If two primordial demon saints were to fight on the Thunder Continent, I'm afraid that this sea region will be plunged into misery and suffering. Therefore, the patriarchs have instructed us to fight this war, and we must make the demon race feel pain, and they will not dare to jump again. However, we cannot go overboard either. After all, our enemy is still the abyss. But how can we fight without reinforcements? With our strength, even if we want to attack Jianghu city, we will have to pay a heavy price. This is not worth the loss. The rain-listening sage frowned. Don't worry. Although they did not promise to increase the military strength of the Thunder City, they promised to temporarily give me a peerless sacred artifact, the Immortal Monument, as the power to tear Jianghu city apart. The purple thunder sage grabbed with his hand, and immediately took out a palm-sized black monument. The black monument was engraved with dense and mysterious restrictions. Every word and stroke seemed to be lines of origin source law. When the countless words were stacked together, they seemed to form pages of immortal scriptures. It was as if these immortal scriptures represented the laws of the universe and the great Tao of heaven and earth. Even though they were Middle Ancient sages, the moment they saw the black monument, they felt their space-time domain being greatly suppressed. It was as if the space-time had been completely suppressed, and no power or the laws of heaven and earth could operate. It can't be. Isn't this the peerless sacred artifact, the immortal ancestors' immortal monument? It is rumored that this peerless sacred artifact has the power to suppress the 8 Desolaces and pierce through the universe. The patriarchs are actually willing to give this treasure to you? The rain-listening sage was so shocked that his eyeballs almost popped out. It is only temporarily given to me. After this war is over, I will have to return it. However, it is also a rare experience to try out the power of the peerless sacred artifact. Who knows, I might be able to comprehend a deeper level of the laws, and find a way to break through to the ancient sage realm. The purple thunder sage's eyes shone brightly. However, let's not talk too much. Immediately gather all the sages in the Thunder City, and send troops to Jianghu city. This time we must make the demon race suffer. All right. The rain-listening sage nodded and immediately issued the war-gathering order. Chapter 2382. Dang dang dang. At this moment, the entire Thunder City resounded with the sound of a huge bell. It came from the depths of the City Lord's mansion, forming waves of rhythmic sound waves that spread in all directions, reaching every corner of the Thunder City, allowing every saint to hear it clearly. What's going on? Could this bell be the war horn? Some of the sages heard the sound of the bell and immediately jumped up in shock. That's right, this is definitely the war horn. Once the war horn is heard, the human race will start a forced conscription. Any sage, no matter what they are doing, will have to join the army and fight. If they dare to disobey, they will be punished with a heavy crime and be imprisoned in the demon-subduing pagoda for 10 billion years. A sage's eyes were filled with awe. The human race had protected many sages and provided them with endless benefits. Naturally, they had their duties. The most important duty was the voluntary conscription. Once a war for the survival of the human race broke out, all sages had to accept the conscription unconditionally. Otherwise, they would be guilty of betraying the human race and would face a miserable fate. How many years has it been since the war horn was heard? What is happening? Are we going to start a war with the other peak races? Some sages were confused and had no idea what was happening. Don't worry so much. Gather at the plaza of the Thunder City immediately. If we are late, we will be punished by the military. Some sages said immediately. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. In every corner of the Thunder City, countless sages, regardless of what they were doing, gathered at the plaza in the center of the Thunder City. Is it finally starting? Xia Ping, who was originally in a state of cultivation, also opened his eyes, revealing a glimmer of light. After waiting for an entire week, He had finally waited for the moment of war between the human clan and the demon clan. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so he naturally would not miss it. With a swoosh, he left his villa and headed towards the central plaza of the Thunder City. In a villa somewhere in the Thunder City. Damn it. One of the medieval saints had a gloomy expression. He had also heard the sound of the war horn. The humans must have discovered something and found out about Hymus City's scheme. Otherwise they wouldn't have made such a big fuss. We must immediately spread this news and let Hymus City prepare in advance. Otherwise, Hymus City will definitely suffer a great loss against the human race who are fully prepared. I've said it long ago. There's something wrong with the human race. There's something wrong with that purple thunder sage. Otherwise, how could he have been so calm earlier on? He's clearly trying to numb our nerves. A black shadow jumped out and cursed loudly. It knew that it had been tricked this time. It was deceived by the calm aura of the human race, causing it to lose the initiative. Cut the crap. Leave Thunder City immediately and send this news back to Hymus City. This way Hymus City will be prepared. The Middle Ancient Saint roared. But before he could finish speaking, his expression suddenly changed and his hair stood on end. It was as if he felt the impending danger of death, and all the cells in his body were warning him. Buzz, at this moment, a huge black stone tablet appeared in the sky. It stood tall like a towering mountain. From the depths of this black stone tablet, thousands of black scriptures surged out. These scriptures formed a terrifying restrictive array formation that instantly sealed off this space. Any power was sealed and no heaven and earth yuan qi could be mobilized. Supreme Sacred Weapon, Immortal Tablet. Run quickly. We are no match for it. The Middle Ancient Saint screamed like a hen that had its neck grabbed. There were no words to describe the fear he felt when he saw the black stone tablet in the sky. He knew that he was no match for this Supreme Sacred Weapon, Immortal Tablet. The difference between them was too great. No. Spare me. I have important information to report. The Middle Ancient Saint struggled on his deathbed, trying to use information to exchange for his life. There's no need to report. Traitor, die. A voice was heard. It was like thunder and resounded through the void. It was as if the thunder god was roaring from the 9 heavens. As soon as the voice finished speaking, the black stone tablet in the sky came crashing down. It was as if the sky had collapsed and the universe had collapsed. All the laws of time and space were shattered. Boom! With just one strike, the villa, the Middle Ancient Saint, and the Black Shadow were all shattered. Not only his soul, but every single particle of the magic treasures on his body was completely destroyed. A black hole appeared on the ground of the villa. It was as if this area had been erased by the gods. Nothing could exist in this area. With a swoosh, 2 figures appeared in the sky. They were the Purple Thunder Saint and the Rain Listener Saint. Humph, he actually dared to inform the demon race. We didn't touch this guy before because we weren't confident. We were afraid that the battle between the Middle Ancient Saints would destroy the Thunder City. I didn't expect this guy to take it seriously and think that we humans can't find him. However, there is a reason for him to be so arrogant. The power of the Middle Ages Saint is enough for him to come and go as he pleases in the Thunder City. However, with this peerless grade sacred weapon, the Immortal Monument, the Middle Ages Saint is nothing to me. The Purple Thunder Saint said indifferently. He didn't care about it at all. As expected of the Supreme Sacred Weapon, Immortal Tablet. Its power is horrifying. With just one strike, all spacetime is destroyed and all matter is obliterated. It's really shocking. The Rain Listener Saint was full of praise. He also coveted the power of the Supreme Sacred Weapon. However, it was too difficult to obtain it. Every single one of them was a treasure of the clan. They wouldn't easily fall into the hands of other saints. It's a pity that he was a Middle Ancient Saint of our human race. It wasn't easy to nurture him. Why did he choose to be a dog instead of a human? I really don't understand. The Rain Listener Saint sighed. There might be a reason. Maybe his relatives were kidnapped and threatened. Or maybe he was tempted. However, I don't care what the reason is. Betrayal is betrayal. Anyone who dares to betray the human race must die. The Purple Thunder Saint didn't want to care about the reason behind it. He didn't need to. He only needed to know that the other party betrayed the human race. This was a crime punishable by death. That was enough. Alright, this matter is over. I don't think there are any high-level demon race spies. We can send troops to Hymus City in peace. The Rain Listener Saint nodded. He agreed with the words of the Purple Thunder Saint. The reason for the other party's betrayal wasn't important. As long as it was a betrayal, it was a crime punishable by death. No matter how pitiful the reason was, there was no need to care about it. Let's go. This time Haim City must pay the price. I want to see what kind of abilities those bastards of the demon race can bring out. The Purple Thunder Saint's eyes revealed a terrifying cold light. So. After saying these words, the two Middle Ancient Saints left and headed to the central plaza of the Thunder City. They immediately mobilized the army and attacked the Haim City of the demon race. Chapter 2383. At an altar in the depths of the sacred demon palace in Hamu City. More than a dozen sacred demons of the Middle Ages gathered here, constantly absorbing the origin energy emitted by the ancient heavenly dragon talismans and the Thunderbolt mainland's origin energy. This energy was very beneficial to them, and it was no less than taking longevity elixirs and other sacred elixirs. Moreover, cultivating here would greatly benefit them in comprehending the laws of the universe. It's almost time. There's still more than 10 days before these 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans finish devouring the origin's energy and reach their peak condition. At that time they will unleash a thunderous strike and the human race's Thunder City will be finished. The one who spoke was Patrick, the city lord of Hamu City. He was a terrifying sacred demon at the peak of the Middle Ages realm. At this moment, his eyes were filled with unconcealable excitement. Once this plan was completed, he would immediately gain great merits and be rewarded by the clan. It would not be impossible for him to advance to the ancient demon saint realm. This matter was of great importance and was related to his advancement in the future. Naturally, he was extremely concerned about it and would spare no effort. Haha, those humans probably didn't expect us to have such a trump card even in death. There shouldn't be any movements from the humans these days. The more critical the moment, the more I worry about failure. What's there to be afraid of? It's such a waste to grow so tall. Strangers don't have guts. How could there be any movements now? They won't be able to discover anything. That's true. We've spent a lot of effort to keep this a secret. If the humans can still find anything, then we should all commit seppuku. The sacred demons of the Middle Ages casually discussed with a relaxed attitude. They felt that this matter was already in their grasp and that there was no possibility of failure. Oh no. Guys, this is not good. Right at this moment, the medieval demonic sage Zaram suddenly broke in from outside. He looked flustered and anxious as if he had encountered an imminent catastrophe. Zaram, what's wrong? Look at how flustered you are. How improper. Do you still have the demeanor of a primordial demon saint? What exactly is it that has scared you to this state? City Lord Patrick was very dissatisfied with Zaram's behavior. No, Castellan, humans have already dispatched their army towards Hamu City. They're going to have a life and death battle with us. They're already less than 1 light year away from Hamu City. Zaram, the medieval demonic saint, shouted. That's right, Castellan. It's not like that. What? Upon hearing this, the dozen or so demon saints of the Middle Ages were all shocked. They were all shocked by this sudden news and almost couldn't believe it. How is this possible? Did that group of monster spies eat shit? It's such a big thing, yet the humans mobilized their armies, yet none of them sent any news back. What the hell are they doing? City Lord Patrick bellowed angrily. He was both shocked and enraged. To think that news would only be reported a light year away from Hamu City. Wasn't this the same as discovering the situation only after the enemy came knocking on his door? For a demon saint, a distance of 1 light year was simply within reach. Our spies have probably been discovered by the humans. They've either been captured or killed. That's why they can't send any messages back. In short, we're in big trouble now. Zaram's face turned very ugly. That's strange. Why did the humans suddenly attack our Hamu City? Over the past years, the two races have been living in harmony. Has our plan been leaked? Randolph, the deputy castellan, asked with a gloomy face. He looked at the dozen or so demon saints of the Middle Ages with a dubious look. He felt that there might be a spy among them who leaked the news and aroused the humans' attack. After hearing Randolph's words, the dozen or so demon saints of the Middle Ages were shocked and doubtful. If the plan of Hamu City had not been leaked, the humans would never launch such a big attack. The problem was that they thought that this operation was extremely confidential and all the demon saints of the Middle Ages were loyal to the demons. Even so, this news was still leaked. Didn't it mean that the humans' means were all pervasive? How could a demon saint of the Middle Ages be a traitor of the demons? In an instant they felt that any one of them might be a spy. However, none of them dared to say it out loud. After all, once they did, it might lead to a war. Now that the humans were attacking the demons, it was a moment of life and death. If they said it out loud, wouldn't they be throwing themselves into confusion and digging their own graves? Even if they were looking for a spy, this was not the time. Enough. Don't make unnecessary guesses. City Lord Patrick was sensitive enough to sense the seriousness of this matter. He also suspected that some of them might be spies. However, considering the overall situation, he didn't want to expose the contradiction at this moment. All in all, no matter why the humans attacked our Heimu city, if those bastards dare to come, they will all die in Heimu city. Our Heimu city is not to be trifled with. He harumphed coldly as his body revealed a dense killing intent. Upon hearing this, the Middle Ages demon sage couldn't help but nod in agreement. That was indeed the case. Regardless of the reason why the humans attacked Heimu city, the Middle Ages demon sage couldn't help but agree. No matter what the humans' reason for attacking Heimu city was, the fact that Heimu city was able to stand for such a long time in the Thunder Continent was enough to prove how powerful Heimu city was. It wasn't something that could be breached by any race. Over the countless years, a large number of demon sages had set up hundreds of millions of large arrays in Heimu city. If all of them were to be unleashed at once, it would be enough to cause the humans to suffer and even suffer heavy losses. They're here. The sages of the humans are here. That's the City Lord of Thunder City, the Purple Thunder Sage, and the Deputy City Lord, the Rain Listener Sage. These two fellows are so arrogant. They actually dare to be the vanguard and clamor in my Heimu city. Deputy City Lord Randolph immediately sensed the abnormality in the sky above Heimu city. He was shocked to find that two human sages at the peak of the Middle Ages had appeared in Heimu city and were looking down from above. Moreover, the human army hadn't arrived yet. These two were merely the vanguard. Immediately they were shocked and angry. As the commander of the humans, the City Lord of Thunder City, a person of extremely high status, he actually didn't hide in the rear to command the battle. Instead, he personally went to the front line. How much did he look down on them, the demon sages? Damn it, what's that thing in the Purple Thunder Sage's hand? Why is it emitting a heart-palpitating aura? Suddenly, City Lord Patrick noticed a black stone tablet in the Purple Thunder Sage's hand. It seemed to be covered with all kinds of forbidden seals, causing one's heart to palpitate. That's the peerless sacred weapon, the immortal monument, in the hands of the human race's patriarch. Bastards, those humans actually ran back to borrow a peerless sacred weapon. They're trying to destroy my Heimu city. Those despicable humans, how dare they? How dare they do such a thing? Aren't they afraid of causing a war between the humans and the demon race? Deputy City Lord Randolph was shocked and angry. His face was pale and terrified. He immediately recognized the treasure in the Purple Thunder Sage's hand. It was the clan's treasure, the peerless sacred weapon, the immortal monument. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.